Fortune Falls, written by Lou Vane, narrated by Maria Cristina Posada Sly. I'm haunted by the memory of a girl who loved and was loved, who dreamed of building a better world and being part of it. I'm haunted by the memory of the girl we sacrificed. That girl was me. Chapter 1. I lose count of the number of times I fall as I skid my way down the muddy track, hurrying to catch up. As the bank drops steeply in front of me, I hesitate, then grab hold of a branch, using it to slow my descent until my feet wedge safely against a tree root. I let go of the branch and take another step. Both feet immediately slide in front of me, throwing me off balance. My arms flail and I overcompensate, throwing myself backwards and land heavily on the ground with a thud. Again. This is ridiculous. I kick at an exposed tree root. We aren't really going to continue in this weather, are we? I look further down the slope and see him waiting for me, his face turned away as he strains to hear the others, who I can just make out through the trees near the top of the waterfall. They're yelling to him, but I can't hear what they're saying, their voices drowned out by the river echoing off the gorge walls and the rain pounding on the hood of my jacket. Suddenly, they begin to run toward us. "What's going on?" I yell above the roar of the river, now so loud I can feel it. He spins around, eyes wide with panic. "Run!" he screams as he scrambles back up the slope toward me. "Jess, run!" His panic spurs me into action. I roll onto my knees so I'm now facing uphill, frantically grabbing at branches and tree roots, anything that will help to pull myself up. Finally, I'm standing, but my feet can't get traction as the earth slides beneath me. The roar continues to increase until it's deafening, terrifying. I am terrified, but I have no idea what of. All I know is that I need to get away from whatever it is they're running from. The ground shakes, making the mud flow faster, the thunder in my ears reaching a crescendo as I make agonizingly slow progress back up the slope. And then, almost as quickly as it starts, it stops. The ground stops shaking, the noise returning to the low rumble of the river. I collapse to the ground, panting, and roll over to look back down the slope, expecting to see the others coming up the trail behind me. But the shock of what I see takes my breath away. They're gone. All of them. But not just them. Everything is gone. The trees, the trail, the hillside we'd just been walking on, it's all gone. My hands begin to shake, then my whole body. But this time it isn't the ground that's shaking. It's all me. I try to slow my breathing to push down the panic, willing myself to keep it under control. Come on, brain. Stay with me. Don't abandon me now. I shuffle to a nearby tree, clinging to it for protection in the hope that it'll stop me from disappearing too. I remove my backpack and take the coil of rope slung across my shoulder and loop it around the tree. My hands fumble as I tie the rope in place and then attach it to my climbing harness. Only then can I breathe. You're okay. You can't fall now. I slump against the tree, blinking back tears as I stare at the spot where I'd been standing moments earlier. My entire body shudders as I realize what has happened. The whole hillside has given way, crashing through the gorge below, the force of its power gouging away rock so that the river that once flowed over the cliff into a waterfall has now been rerouted around it as well. This can't be real. This can't be happening. My lungs draw ragged breaths as I lower myself onto my stomach and begin to crawl down what's left of the slope. I let the rope out slowly, making sure it stays taut in case the ground crumples out from beneath me. I force myself to go as far as I can until I reach the edge. I scan the chasm, searching for signs of my friends, hoping they've somehow survived and are waiting to be rescued. But I can't see anyone. There's nothing but mud and broken trees and rocks and more mud. No, 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 no. I feel the panic begin to rise again. I try to hold it down, but I can't, my body shaking uncontrollably. They're all gone. Chapter 2. 2 weeks earlier. I look back at the man grumbling impatiently behind me, then to the queue of people that's formed behind him. Anxious heads search for the source of the noise, growing in intensity somewhere out of sight. Everyone's on edge, trapped with no means of escape. They know what's coming. We all do. And we're powerless to stop it. No one can stop a crying baby. I hear an exasperated huff and switch my gaze back to the man again. He's staring. No, he's glowering at me. Seriously? I frown at him. What's your problem? It's not as if your seat's going anywhere. I glance down at his empty hands. There's not a bag in sight. He's still glaring at me when I look back up at his sour face. I guess you carry your baggage on the inside, don't you, pal? I shake my head, then return my attention to the young man, still hunched over his phone in the aisle seat. Excuse me, I repeat, adding a gentle tap on his shoulder this time. Finally, he looks up, taking off his headphones, and I realize he's younger than I thought. Probably not much older than me. Hi, sorry, I've got the window seat. Oh, sure, he says, undoing his seatbelt. As the boy begins to stand, Mr. Impatient decides he can't possibly wait 15 more seconds and tries to push past, rudely thrusting me forward. I fling out my hands to stop myself from falling, but my hands shoot straight over the headrest and I fall, chest first, into the boy's upturned face. Oh my God! I yelp as he lets out a smothered grunt, trying to push me off him. I flounder against him, struggling to untangle myself. I'm completely mortified, certain nothing could be more embarrassing. But I couldn't be more wrong, because as we part, so does my blouse, opening all the way to my waist. Oh my God! I shriek even louder, frantically doing up the buttons. I'm so sorry. It's fine, really. He laughs as he steps out into the aisle. You don't need to apologize. Seriously. I cringe an embarrassed half smile, too mortified to make eye contact, and slide past him to my seat. From the corner of my eye, I see him watching me, but I'm still too flustered to look back, and begin rummaging in my bag for my phone. Calm down, Jess. It's fine. You don't know him. He'll go back to looking at his phone in a second, and you can just forget this ever happened. I pull out my headphones, wishing they're noise-canceling ones, as the child's wailing grows louder, and look up to see a frazzled woman carrying 3 bags and a toddler. I forget my embarrassment as I watch her strained face shuffle slowly toward me, grimacing apologetically as she makes her way down the plane. She pauses at the row in front of me, and I hold my breath, willing her to keep going. Then let out a loud sigh when she begins to usher her children into the seats. Damn it. Hi, I'm Matt. I almost don't hear him over the ear-splitting screams. I look over at the boy I smothered, and he immediately stretches his hand across the empty middle seat. His brown eyes twinkle cheekily as he grins at me, and then yells above the crying. I figure we should at least be on a first-name basis after that. It's nice to meet you, Matt. I yell back, shaking his hand. I'm Jess. Nice to meet you too, Jess, he shouts as the wailing suddenly stops. Heads whip around to look in our direction, and we both burst out laughing as Matt grimaces and tries to shrink out of sight. The air hostess, standing at the row in front of us, pauses to give us a wary look before returning to her conversation with the mother. You can't be serious. The mother's voice rises in distress. We confirmed it would be okay for one of the twins to sit on my lap when we made the booking. I've got 3 kids and there's only one of me. What are you suggesting I do? Matt and I exchange a baffled look, then watch the air hostess wave to one of her colleagues further up the plane. As the colleague begins to walk down the aisle, Matt leans forward to get the mother's attention. I'd be happy to help if I can. There's a spare seat right here beside me. We'd be happy to help, wouldn't we? Are you completely insane? I manage to close my gaping mouth before he turns to look at me. He nods enthusiastically at me with smiley eyes, and my head automatically starts to nod back. And before I can stop myself, my mouth opens and I say, Yeah, sure. if you think one of them would be okay to sit with us. Oh my God, Jess, what are you doing? The mother speaks to the child sitting beside her, then turns to look at us. That would be wonderful, thank you, she says, lifting the boy into the aisle and leading him around to us. This is Charlie. Hi, Charlie. I'm Matt, and this is Jess. Would you like to come and sit with us? Charlie gives a nod, his face breaking into a smile. Matt lifts him to stand on the seat between us, where he plops down with a giggle. How old are you, Charlie? Matt asks as he puts on Charlie's seatbelt. 4.5. How old are you? Oh, I'm ancient. I'm 17.5. He nods seriously. Knew he was my age. As Charlie wriggles excitedly in his seat, I begin to wonder how we're going to keep him entertained for the next couple of hours when Matt pulls out his phone and starts showing Charlie a game. Charlie immediately quietens and begins swiping at the screen, and I feel my apprehension easing as Matt patiently teaches him how to play. You're really good with kids, I say as Matt helps Charlie put on his headphones. I've just had a lot of practice, I guess. I come from a pretty big family, he shrugs. There's 6 of us, and I'm the oldest. My youngest sister isn't much older than Charlie here. Wow, that is a big family. Your parents aren't Catholic by any chance? Whoa, stereotype much. But yeah. He rolls his eyes at me. I guess you could call them non-practicing. Non-practicing contraception? 'Cause obviously they've been practicing the sex part just fine. I grin at him. His face contorts. You do realize that's my parents you're talking about. Heat instantly rushes to my face, humiliated at my failed attempt to be witty. How could I say that to someone I've only just met? Sorry, I didn't mean to offend. I look at him apologetically, then notice his eyes crinkling at the corners. Lucky for you, it takes a bit more than that to offend me. Like trying to smother me with your bosom, for instance, but hey, you've already done that, and I'm still talking to you. He chuckles. Bosom? Now it's my turn to grimace. Who uses that word? I feel my face heating again and decide a change of subject is urgently needed. It must be nice having so many brothers and sisters. Yeah, most of the time. But being the eldest isn't always that great, though. I have to spend a lot of time helping out with the younger ones. Sometimes I wish I could just do my own thing like my friends do. What about you? Do you have any brothers or sisters? No, it's just me. I've always wanted a sister, though. Maybe you could share one of yours? How about a brother? I'm kind of fond of my sisters. He grins. I've got 2 children's meals and a vegetarian meal, the air hostess interrupts. The vegetarian meal is mine, Matt says, taking the meal. And obviously, the children's meals are for these 2 kids. I screw up my nose at him and lower Charlie's tray table for Matt to place the meal on. Let's see what you've got to eat. Matt takes the cover off Charlie's food, clearly in the habit of taking care of his brothers and sisters. I find myself smiling at him, impressed by his kindness toward this little boy and his mother when it hadn't even crossed my mind to help them. I wonder how many guys our age would do this. Maybe they would, and it's just me who's selfish. I feel embarrassed as I realize there's probably a big difference between me and people like Matt, and the sudden insight doesn't sit comfortably. I can help Charlie while you eat your meal if you like. You can enjoy not having to look after someone else for a change. Are you sure? Matt raises his eyebrows at me as I nod. Well, you know where I am if you need me. Good luck. I give him a quizzical look. What does that mean? What do you want to eat first, Charlie? I lift the edge of the bread to see what's inside. Looks like you've got a ham and cheese sandwich. Don't like cheese. Oh, that's okay. We can just take the cheese out, and then it's a ham sandwich, I say perkily. No big deal. I've got this. Don't like ham. Are you kidding me? I glimpse Matt watching me out of the corner of my eye. Okay. How about we take the ham out, too? You like bread, don't you? Mm-hmm. Bread's okay. Great. Well, here's a yummy bread sandwich for you. Matt snorts into his drink, then begins to cough. You okay? I give Matt a sideways look. Yeah, I'm fine, he says between coughs. I pick up a container of strawberry yogurt as Matt returns to his food. I bet you like yogurt, though, don't you? You've got to be careful, Matt starts to warn as I pull back the lid of the yogurt and it explodes out of the container. Charlie erupts into laughter. Why would they serve something that would explode? I sputter, looking down at my shirt, now covered in splotches of pink yogurt. Entertainment value? Matt holds out a paper napkin to me. I take the napkin and dab the yogurt from my face and top, feeling like a complete idiot. I feel like I've done nothing but embarrass myself since I met Matt. It's just been one blunder after another. And although I know I'll probably never see him again, I like this handsome, smiley boy, and I want him to like me too. But at this rate, he's gonna think I'm a complete clown. Matt takes over looking after Charlie so I can eat, and I'm relieved to have a few moments where I'm not falling or spilling food or saying something stupid. By the time Charlie's mother hands back a small bag of toys for Charlie to play with, I'm determined to show Matt that I'm actually capable of doing something without making an idiot of myself. And yes, maybe it's because I want Matt to like me, but it's also because I want to prove to myself that I'm not as selfish as I suspect I am. I offer to play with Charlie as he pulls toy cars from the bag, but it isn't long before I realize it isn't helping to dispel my goofball image. I try not to feel self-conscious as Matt grins at me, fumbling my way through Charlie's games, vrooming the cars over his table and mine. That is, until Charlie performs a supersized crash and flings his car directly into the side of my face. My hand jerks protectively to my cheek as I try not to react, not wanting to let on how much it hurts. Bet you never realized a 4-year-old could be so dangerous, Matt says. I gingerly touch my cheekbone and feel a hot, raised welt, and realize the final remnants of dignity I've been hoping to salvage are now completely in tatters. Yeah, that's going to leave a bruise, Matt says sympathetically. Great. Why today of all days? This is not the first impression I want to be making. Matt continues to play with Charlie for the rest of the flight, keeping him occupied. He often looks up at me and smiles as they talk, making sure I'm included. Usually, I wouldn't have cared less if I'm included in a conversation with a 4-year-old, but Matt makes me want to be a part of it. Thank you so much for taking such good care of Charlie. His mother leans over the back of her seat when the seatbelt sign turns off. You don't need to thank us. We've had a great time, haven't we, Charlie? Matt ruffles Charlie's hair, then steps into the aisle and opens the overhead compartment. As he hands down the last bag to the mother, he smiles over at me, catching me watching him, and I feel a tingle of excitement run up my spine. Come on, Jess, you like him. Why don't you give him your number? You know you want to. But maybe he's not interested. He'd ask for it if you wanted it, wouldn't he? Let me give you a hand with those. Matt takes some of the mother's bags as he joins the queue, moving down the aisle. Oh, he's going? I can't believe he's leaving without saying goodbye. At the last second, Matt calls back over his shoulder to me. Catch you later, Jess. I swallow my disappointment and force a smile. Yeah, sure. Catch you later, Matt. Then he disappears out of sight. After the aisle clears, I make my way into the airport and scan the busy terminal, hoping to see Matt. But there's no sign of him. So I head to the toilets to check out the damage. I sigh at my reflection. No wonder he didn't want your number. You look a mess. Not only do I have a welt on my cheek, my hair and shirt are spattered with yogurt. Leaning over the sink, I use the tap to rinse the ends of my hair, then dry them with the hand dryer. I change into a fresh t-shirt from my bag and take one last look in the mirror. It'll have to do. I make my way through the bustling airport, following the signs to the baggage claim where I'm supposed to be met by someone from the Institute. My disappointment about Matt begins to disappear, replaced by a growing feeling of anticipation as I get closer to the meeting place. I've been looking forward to today since I received my acceptance letter from the youth leadership program 3 months ago, and now it's finally here. I know that in the next few hours, I'm going to meet people who will change my life forever. This program isn't just about teaching us how to become better leaders. It's about making friendships and connections that will last a lifetime, in the hope that we'll work together to make the world a better place. Naive idealism, my dad had said to me when I told him I got accepted into the program. I was floored by his response. He knew how much getting into this course had meant to me. He knew that I lay awake at night worrying about the kind of future that's in store for us. Yet he still didn't understand why I felt the need to do something, to be part of the solution. I can't sit back and watch as our world continues to be let down by its leaders, I replied. Change needs to happen now, and at this rate, it's going to be up to my generation to do it. I want to be a part of that. I agree, honey, and I'm proud of you for wanting to be a part of it. Mom hugged me. And maybe it is naive idealism. She gave my dad a pointed look. But that's exactly what makes the potential for change possible. I find myself smiling at the memory of Mom's words as I ride the escalator to the baggage claim. I scan the line of people holding placards at the bottom until I get to a man holding 2 signs, one saying Priya Amin and another saying Jessica Maddox. I step off the escalator and walk over to the man, fixing the most confident smile I can muster, and hold out my hand. Hi, I'm Jess. Hi, Jess. I'm Marley. How was your flight? He shakes my hand, returning my smile. Surprisingly good, actually. He gives me a strange look, as though my response was unusual. I guess it was a little strange, but meeting Matt had made it a surprisingly good flight. Not that I can tell him that, though. The, view, it was incredible. I've never seen such huge mountains before. They're amazing. Marley nods. They certainly are. I prefer to see my mountains from the ground, though. I'm not really a fan of flying myself. Yeah, I know what you mean. Can make your arms tired. Better to let the plane do it. Marley doesn't seem to appreciate my joke, but at least someone does, as laughter bursts out behind me. I turn to see who it is, and my stomach cartwheels. Chapter 3. Hey! I thought you'd left already. No, not yet. Just getting my bag. Matt looks down at the small wheelie bag at his side. I'm so glad to catch you. I didn't think I was going to get the chance to say goodbye properly. I was thinking, I don't know if you're interested, but I was wondering if you... Looks like you two already know each other. Marley interrupts. Oh, yeah. We go way back. We're bosom buddies, aren't we, Jess? His eyes twinkle mischievously. Laughter explodes out of me, taking us both by surprise. Yeah, we're breast mates, I managed to reply between fits of giggles. Oh, nice one. Matt slaps me on the back, laughing. Marley is looking at us like we're completely mad. We met on the flight, Matt explains as we try to stop laughing. Bit of a long story. So, you're on the leadership camp too? I ask. Yeah, small world, huh? It was a surprise to me when I saw your name too. He looks toward the signs Marley's holding. Marley spreads them out in a fan, and I see there's a third one that I hadn't noticed before, saying Matthew Davidson. What were you saying before? Matt asks. Something you thought I might be interested in? You can't exactly give him your number now that you're on the camp together, can you? Hi, I'm Priya. You must be from the Institute. I turn to see a girl holding out her hand toward Marley as she introduces herself. Oh, thank God for Priya. Hi, Priya. I'm Marley. This is Jess and Matt. They're also students on the course. Hi. She gives us a friendly wave. Hi. I smile back, immediately feeling inadequate. She's average height, but that's where our similarities end. Her mahogany hair is so long it reaches the middle of her back and is gorgeous, like everything else about her. I can't fault anything, and I'm trying hard to find one. But she's picture perfect. Her clothes, her body, her skin, her teeth. I catch the subtle scent of jasmine as she flicks her hair over her shoulder. She even smells great. I look down at my jeans and pull self-consciously at my t-shirt, feeling frumpy and boring in comparison. I push my hair away from my face, wishing I hadn't just had to dry it in a hand dryer, cringing as I get a waft of strawberry yogurt. Hi, Priya. Nice to meet you. Matt's face lights up with the same warm smile I saw on the plane. I swallow as I realize either Matt does this with everyone, or he thinks Priya is just as beautiful as I do. Now that we're all here, we can get going. Have you all got your bags? Marley asks. I checked in mine. Priya looks uncomfortably at my backpack as I nod in reply, then gives a nervous laugh. I know we were told we'd be given everything we need, but I brought some extra things just in case. No problem. Let's go get it then. Marley turns toward the baggage carousels. We watch the bags as they come past on the conveyor belt, waiting for Priya's to arrive. My mouth drops open when she heaves an enormous hard-shell suitcase off the conveyor, then laughs nervously as she turns to see our stunned faces. I wasn't sure what I'd need. Her face radiates embarrassment, and I feel a surge of joy at knowing she has an imperfection after all. I begin to think of something sarcastic to say and then realize I'm just being nasty for no reason. Other than that, she makes me feel insecure. But it's painfully obvious that Priya is feeling pretty insecure herself right now. Well, you'll definitely be prepared for any eventuality. Relief flickers in Priya's eyes, and she gives me a shy smile before turning to follow Marley to the exit. Marley leads us to a white van in the car park, and as soon as he lifts the back door open, Matt offers to help Priya with her suitcase. Thanks, Matt. I feel a bit embarrassed that I brought such a big bag. She stands back to let Matt take it. I have to stop myself from laughing as Matt grunts in surprise as he lifts it into the back of the van. Don't worry about it. Happy to help. He looks down at her, and I swear his cheeks look flushed. Probably just exertion from lifting the suitcase. You okay, Matt? You look like you might have pulled something. I grin as I climb into the van beside Priya, moving over to make room for him on the seat beside me. Matt ignores me and shuts the door. I guess not then, I say under my breath and watch him get into the front seat beside Marley instead. Marley calls back over his shoulder as he drives. Our base is in Falls River. It's about an hour's drive from here. That's where we'll meet the others. You guys are the last to get here. The rest of the students arrived this morning. How many students are there? I ask. There were supposed to be 12 in your group, but we received a couple of last-minute cancellations this morning due to illness. So there's only going to be 10 of you. Oh, I thought there'd be more students doing the program, Priya says. There are. We're running 3 courses back-to-back this summer. You're the second group, and there's one more after you. You'll get to meet the students from the other camps later in the year at the leadership conference. Matt and Marley continue talking to each other, but it's hard to hear in the back, so I stop trying to listen and move my gaze toward the side window. As I do, I catch Priya looking at me. I don't mean to pry, she says shyly, but I can see that your cheek is looking bruised. When I don't answer her immediately, she continues, I'm sorry. I should just mind my own business. No, it's okay. I just got hit by a kid playing with a toy car on the flight. It's nothing. I know this is probably hard to believe, given how small my bag is. She smiles wryly. But I've got some concealer if you want to use it to cover the bruise. Really? That'd be great. Thank you. Priya reaches into a small bag on her lap and rummages through her things, then holds out a tube of concealer and a compact. Thanks, I say, taking them, and begin to apply the concealer. Lucky for me, you brought a few extra things. I feel so embarrassed about my bag. Priya gives me an uncomfortable smile. My mom bought it as soon as she heard that my school wanted to nominate me for the leadership program. She was so excited. so sure my application would be accepted. She wanted to surprise me. It was too late to return it by the time we got the information pack saying what we needed to bring. I didn't want to disappoint her. She said it was the nicest bag she'd ever had. So we packed it with pretty much everything I own. Everything? Seriously, my wardrobe is almost empty. She laughs. My mom was pretty excited about my nomination too. My dad, not so much. He thinks this is a waste of time and I should be using my summer more productively. Really? What could be more productive than going on a leadership development camp? Summer school? You go to school over the summer? Usually. He thinks it'll give me a better chance at getting accepted into Ashley. He's got his heart set on me going there, but I couldn't do it because of this camp. Oh, you're gonna go to Ashley? Priya looks impressed. That's where my dad wants me to go, but I doubt I'll even get in. My pick would be Spurrier. Me too! How awesome would it be if we ended up going to Spurrier together? Maybe we could be roommates. Maybe. I can't help but smile at Priya's enthusiasm. I can't wait to go to college, Priya gushes. I love my mom, but she can be a little suffocating sometimes. She cringes guiltily. So even someone as nice as Priya feels this way. Maybe we aren't so different after all. I know what you mean. For me, it's my dad, though. He has this master plan for me. He doesn't think I'm mature enough to know what I want. I shake my head. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be doing this program at all. But she said if she had done what her parents wanted her to do, she would never have become a lawyer. She'd be married to her high school boyfriend and working as a receptionist at her dad's old accounting firm. I guess it's hard for some parents to let their babies go. Yeah, but that's the problem. We aren't babies anymore. We continue our journey for nearly an hour, slowing only as we reach a sign saying, "Welcome to Falls River." We enter a small town with a wide main street, continuing until we pull off the road just as we're about to leave the town limits on the other side. We turn onto a short gravel driveway and pull into a car park in front of a building emblazoned with the words, Falls River Guides, above the entrance. Marley turns off the engine and looks at us in the rearview mirror. This is it, guys. Grab your bags and let's head inside to meet the others. I'll give you a hand with your suitcase, Matt says to Priya as we climb out. I reach into the back of the van to get my backpack, and Matt puts his hand out to stop me. Allow me. It might be booby-trapped. Oh, I laugh sarcastically. They just keep on coming, don't they? I was planning that the whole ride here, he says proudly. I've got more, you know. I don't doubt it. Maybe save some for later. I shake my head, laughing. Oh, come on. There's just one more I need to get off my chest. He cracks up, slapping his leg as I give him an evil look. I'm done, seriously. There's no more. He reaches into the van and hands me my bag, wiping a tear from the corner of his eye, then heaves Priya's suitcase out and drags it across the gravel to the front door. We enter a large, noisy room filled with people and bags, the walls on one side hidden by racks and blue bins. Most of the students are sitting on bench seats around an enormous wooden table off to one side of the room, but there are others looking at items on the racks. We add our bags to the pile already in the corner and turn around, aware that the noise in the room has quietened as everyone stops talking to check out the new arrivals. The three of us stand awkwardly, unsure what to do. Marley walks over to us and hands us each a sticker with our name on it. Why don't you grab a seat at the table? We make our way over to the table, and I smile at no one in particular as I sit beside Priya at one end, and Matt takes a seat across from us. Hi, I'm Lily. A girl with shoulder-length blonde hair introduces herself. Hi, I'm Jess, and this is Priya. I lean back a little so Lily and Priya can see each other more easily. And that's Matt, I say, looking across the table toward Matt, who's already talking to a boy with a sticker saying Dean on it. Can I have everyone's attention? The room falls silent as we all turn to face Marley standing at the front of the room. Can everyone take a seat at the table, please? He waits a moment while the rest of the students join us. Oh my, Lily says, and I follow her gaze back to the front of the room where Marley has been joined by 3 other people. It takes me a moment to work out what she's reacted to as I look along the line of new faces. Standing next to Marley are 2 sporty-looking women wearing red polo tops with an emblem of a river cutting through mountain peaks, and it says Falls River Guides underneath. But Lily's eyes are fixed on the man on the other side of them, another of the guides, who is laughing at something they've said. He stands half a head taller than either of the women next to him, with dark brown hair poking teasingly out beneath his cap. His physique is muscular, but not in a weightlifting kind of way. It looks like it's as a result of doing his job, in addition to some very good genes. He looks like he doesn't care about his appearance, which makes me wonder if it's deliberate. Maybe he doesn't know how good he looks, or maybe he knows but doesn't care. Either way, Lily's reaction isn't completely unjustified. Welcome to Falls River, everyone, and to the first module of the Youth Leadership Program. I think I've managed to meet most of you by now, but just in case we haven't met, I'm Marley. I'm a professor of psychology at Spurrier University, and I'm also an associate with the Global Leadership Institute. This is Spurrier's first year working with TGLI, and we completed our first camp a couple of days ago. You'll be relieved to know it went extremely well. We had a lot of fun, with only a few minor injuries and broken bones. There's a spatter of uncomfortable laughter around the table, none of us certain whether he's joking or not. Marley sees his joke has fallen flat and raises his hands as if to placate an unhappy crowd. I'm kidding. Of course, there weren't any injuries. A few bruised egos, maybe, but no broken bones. He smiles reassuringly. So, as I was saying, this is going to be a great experience for you all. But I want to give this reminder at the outset. This is not a holiday. It is going to be hard work. We're going to push you to your limits with the intention of helping you to learn about yourselves, to grow, and eventually become better leaders. But we will have a lot of fun along the way, too. Once we've finished getting you out of your comfort zone in the great outdoors, we'll return here where we'll spend a couple of days challenging your thinking about what it is to be effective leaders. Marley continues. So, to ensure we safely complete the wilderness adventure component of the program, we have the very capable team from Falls River Guides accompanying us. He turns toward the guide standing beside him. This is Emily. A woman with blonde hair and a ponytail smiles and waves to the group. Sky. The dark-haired woman standing next to her nods and smiles. And Ethan. Ethan, the man Lily still hasn't taken her eyes from, takes off his cap and jokingly bends his head in a small bow to the group. Pleased to meet you, he says, grinning. The other guides laugh at his formal greeting, and Sky ruffles his hair affectionately when he straightens. His hair sticks up everywhere afterwards, but he doesn't seem to mind and doesn't put his cap back on, instead holding it in his hand as he continues to smile. He knows he has everyone's attention. His eyes take in each of us, skimming from Priya to me, then on to Lily and continuing around the table. I glance at Lily and she's actually blushing, as though this is all for her benefit, and I realize I'm cringing. I know I shouldn't judge him before I've met him, but I've met guys like him before. They're always arrogant jerks with overinflated egos. How could you possibly be any different? Shallow, vain, thinking you're the GOAT. And fine, maybe you are the greatest of all time, and I'm just jealous because I'm not. But to me, you're just a regular goat. A very hot, regular goat. Chapter 4. I know you're keen to meet the rest of the students, Emily says. But before we do that, we need to get our gear ready for tomorrow. We'll be leaving straight after breakfast. Here's a list of all the equipment you're going to need for our trip. She places a pile of paper on the table in front of Priya. Once you've got everything, place it all together with any personal items you want to include. But remember, you have to carry everything you take, so be selective about what you choose. If you have any questions, ask any of the guides. We're all here to help. I take one of the equipment lists and hang back to see where everyone goes. Ethan stands by the large blue bins and is quickly surrounded by a group of students. The rest have spread out along the racks, so I make my way there and begin collecting items from the list. I collect a backpack, waterproof jacket, and pants, all with the logo of Falls River Guides on them, polypropylene tops, socks, and gloves. I shove everything into the pack as I go. Why do we need all this cold weather gear at this time of year? I ask Emily, who is making sure we get the right sizes. It gets pretty cold up at the lodge at night, even in summer, and the weather can change with little warning any time of year up there, so we need to be prepared just in case. Good to know, I say, putting an extra pair of woolen socks in my pack. Once I've collected everything from the racks, I head over to the bins. Ethan is talking to Lily and a girl with long ebony hair called Holly, and I feel relieved that his attention is taken by them. The girls burst into laughter at something he says, Lily laughing so hard she reaches out to touch Ethan's arm, needing to steady herself. He looks pleased at their response, clearly enjoying their attention. Ethan is still talking to the girls as I quickly add the last items to my already full arms. I figure I'm home and clear and quietly begin to slink away. Hi, we haven't met yet. I'm Ethan. I freeze, then slowly turn to look up at him. Hi. And you are? He tilts his head, raising his eyebrows, his entire face asking the question. I'm Jess. It sounds robotic, unfriendly, so I smile awkwardly as a kind of afterthought. Is there anything I can help you with? Do you think you've got everything? I look down at my armload of bags and equipment. I think I have everything. I look back up at his handsome face, and his eyes are focused intently on mine. I feel my ability to speak fading. Remember, he's a goat. He's just a goat. I'm all goat, thanks. His eyebrows shoot up in surprise, a grin spreading across his face, and I'm instantly mortified. My cheeks flood with heat, so hot it overflows down my neck. I want to disappear, but I have nowhere to hide. Good. I'm all good, thanks. I laugh uncomfortably, shaking my head. You like goats? Not particularly. Just kidding around. I screw up my nose, grimacing at my joke. Ethan doesn't react for a moment, and then lets out a loud bark of laughter. I manage a small laugh, relieved that he thinks I'm just trying to be funny, as Lily and Holly's heads whip around to see what's going on. I don't stick around to see their reaction, and quickly escape to join the rest of the group sitting spaced out on the floor with their belongings in front of them. I pick a spot near Priya and empty the bags from my arms onto the floor, and unpack everything I've stashed in the backpack. My eyes widen as I discover a very sharp-looking hunting knife in a sheath inside one of the packs from the bins. What the heck are we gonna need this for? For the next week, you'll be sleeping in tents. Marley begins to read names off a piece of paper in his hand. Priya nudges me with her elbow, grinning at me when our names are called out together. I smile back, glad that I'm going to be with her too. Come and get a tent, Emily says, standing beside a pile of tent bags on the floor. Once you're packed, we'll have some dinner and then it's an early night. Wake-up call will be at 6 tomorrow. We want to be on the road by 7. I grab a tent from the pile and push it into the bottom of my backpack. It takes up half the pack, but I manage to squeeze everything else in and attach the sleeping mat to the outside. Right, Emily calls out. If everyone's ready, please bring your bags and follow me. We follow Emily through a door at the back of the room into a windowless passageway, past 2 doors with signs indicating their bathrooms. She opens the door at the opposite end of the passage to reveal a large bunk room with 2-tiered bunks lining the walls of the room. This is your room for tonight. Pick a bed and leave your packs in here, then head back to the common room. Pizza should be here any second. I head to the bunk furthest away from the door and pull my sleeping bag out of my pack, laying it out on the top bunk. I'm so glad you chose the top bed, Priya says as she lays her sleeping bag on the bunk bed beneath mine. I never sleep well on the top bunk. I always worry I might fall off in my sleep. I've done that, Dean says from the bunk next to us. Not sure what hurt more, my shoulder or my pride. Maybe you should take the bottom bunk, Jess, Matt calls after me as I walk toward the bunk room door. Your pride couldn't take much more today, could it? My pride is doing just fine, thank you very much, I reply haughtily over my shoulder as I head through the doorway, pleased he can't see the grin on my face. The mouth-watering smell of pizza greets me as soon as I enter the common room. Emily and Marley are sitting at one end of the table, and I assume that's where all the team leaders will go. So I sit next to a boy with large black-rimmed glasses at the other end. We introduce ourselves while we wait for everyone else to be seated. His name is Kalen. Dean plonks himself onto the bench beside me, and Priya sits on his other side. The rest of the spaces quickly begin to fill, and I cast my gaze along the faces sitting opposite, making my way up to our end of the table. I look up as a figure steps over the bench to sit opposite me. I swallow in surprise, and return Ethan's smile. Before he has a chance to say anything, Matt appears out of nowhere and begins to squeeze himself into some imagined space between Ethan and the girl sitting beside him, forcing them both to move apart to make room for him. And now he is the one sitting directly opposite. He doesn't look up until he opens the lid of the pizza box on the table in front of him and holds it out to me. Ladies first. Should probably offer it to Dean then. I shrug. Ethan bursts into laughter as Matt raises his eyebrows in surprise. Finally, someone shows me the respect I deserve. Dean reaches into the box and lifts out an enormous piece of pepperoni pizza. He takes a huge bite, then continues to speak with his mouth full, spitting food as he talks. My parents raised me to be a lady. Thank you for noticing, Jess. Truly, thank you. Any chance you could make room for us? Lily and Holly are standing at the end of the table, smiling down at Ethan and Kalen. You guys don't mind scooching down a bit, do you? Lily bats her long lashes at them. Sure. Kalen grins back with a smile so big, I wonder if his face might break, and shuffles toward me until I'm wedged between him and Dean, who hasn't budged an inch. Do I smell or something? Priya mutters, looking at the big gap beside her. I look along the table past Dean and Priya and see there's a large space where Lily and Holly could have easily sat, but instead they've chosen to insert themselves at the end of the table next to Ethan and Kalen. Dean leans closer to Priya and sniffs. You're not that bad. Oh my God, seriously? Priya looks horrified as she tries to sniff the armpit of her shirt, and when that passes the test, she sniffs her hair, trying to find the source. Dean throws his head back, laughing. He's joking, Priya, I say. You smell great, really great, like jasmine. Dean's head swivels to look at me, eyebrows raised. Jasmine, huh? He nods as if making a mental note. I glance across the table at Lily, who's now sitting comfortably next to Ethan, looking up at him like the cat that caught the canary as he holds out a box of pizza to her. Come on, guys, can you scooch down just a little further? Holly asks impatiently, not yet able to fit beside Kalen. You could always sit on my knee, Kalen offers, semi-hopeful. I raise my eyebrows at Dean and Priya. What do you think? I guess we're scooching, Dean says demurely, and the three of us shuffle along to give Holly the room she needs. Everyone adds pizza to their plates, devouring the contents of the boxes in front of us. But I notice Matt hasn't taken any and realize why. I stand and walk down the table to where there are still a couple of unopened boxes and ask Emily if she can see what kind of pizza they contain. Do you mind if I take this one? Emily hands it up to me and I carry it back to my seat. Before I sit, I hold the box out to Matt with one hand and wave my other in a flourish. I think this might be what you're waiting for, my lord. He opens the box and looks up at me in surprise. How'd you know? You had the vegetarian meal on the flight. Thanks. He looks impressed that I'd remembered, then takes an enormous bite. This is really good. Matt's words are barely intelligible, his mouth stuffed full of food. I was so hungry I was about to start gnawing on Ethan. Would have made the whole vegetarian thing a bit of a wasted effort, though, wouldn't it? Kalen retorts. Come on, guys, Ethan's not a piece of meat, you know. Dean shakes his head in mock disapproval. Looks pretty tasty to me. Lily smiles at Ethan. I hastily cover my mouth with my hand, trying to prevent my mouthful of food ejecting all over the table as I begin to laugh, then start to cough, choking on a crumb I manage to inhale in the process. Dean bats me on the back with the flat of his hand as I continue to cough, my face turning beetroot from a mixture of embarrassment and the effort of coughing. Finally, it subsides after Matt hands me a glass of water. Lily gives me a contemptuous glare as I chug back its contents before she angrily looks away. And for the briefest of moments, I feel something close to pity for the goat as I watch him squirm uncomfortably in his seat. Chapter 5. Has everyone checked they've got everything from the bunk room? Sky calls out. Yes, a few people reply. Then it dawns on me that I've left my sleeping bag on my bed. I'd woken in the dark an hour before the wake-up call and decided to get up and have a shower. Not wanting to risk waking anyone, I'd only taken my backpack with me and intended to return for my sleeping bag later, then completely forgotten about it. I don't say anything and go straight to the bunk room where I hastily pull the sleeping bag down from the bed and start stuffing it into its bag. I was wondering who left that, Sky says from the doorway. Yeah, thanks. I was trying to be quiet when I got up this morning. You need to make sure you look after your kit. You're responsible for your stuff here. We aren't your parents. I feel like I'm being told off. Yeah, absolutely. I meant to come back for it, I just forgot. Thanks for reminding me. I feel embarrassed as I return to the common room, aware that I'm the only one who left something behind. And it wasn't as if it was something insignificant either. It was your sleeping bag, for God's sake. You would have been screwed without it. Heads up, everyone, Emily calls out. If you are not carrying a tent, you need to come and collect a food bag. And when you're finished doing that, it's time to take your backpacks to the vehicles. I wait for Priya to grab one of the food bags. Then we join the others outside. There's a Falls River guide standing by each of the 3 Jeeps. Priya and I head over to Emily, who helps lift our packs onto the roof racks. Then we climb into the vehicle. We make our way to the 2 seats at the back of the Jeep, and Dean and Matt take the row of seats in front of us. A few minutes later, Emily jumps into the driver's seat next to Marley and leans around to look back at us. Everyone buckled up? She receives a chorus of yeses and starts the engine. We're the first vehicle to depart. I look behind us as we pull out of the car park to see the other vehicles following. We exit the driveway onto the road and head away from the Falls River Township, quickly getting up to speed on the open road. Marley turns his head and calls back. We've got a 4-hour drive ahead of us. If anyone needs to stop, just yell out. Other than that, settle back and enjoy the view. And that's what we do. Other than Marley and Emily talking in the front, the rest of us sit back and watch the scenery unfolding out the windows. Green pastures soon give way to dense forest as the road winds its way into a gorge with the river snaking far below us. Marley points out the front window, and we lean forward to catch a glimpse of lofty waterfalls cascading over bluffs. Once we exit the gorge, the land flattens into a plateau, a welcome mat for the mountain range looming ahead. It feels like we're the only ones stupid enough to be out of our beds this early, the road completely empty of traffic, other than an occasional farm vehicle. I figure there probably isn't much out here other than farms, but then realize there must be a military base somewhere nearby as a convoy of army trucks streams past us, heading in the opposite direction. I glance out the back window as we turn onto a side road and count 7 trucks before the other Jeeps following behind us block my view. A few minutes later, we veer off the side road onto a narrow dirt track that branches up the hillside on the right. At first, we're able to look down upon the farmland below, but it isn't long before the road enters the tree line and we can only catch glimpses of the valley beneath. Then, the forest becomes so dense that we can't see it at all. The track is pitted with potholes, and Emily's able to avoid many of them at first, but before long, she has to slow to a crawl as she navigates the dips and bumps on the road and tries to evade the crevice gouged like a center line. Now I see why we're in these Jeeps. There's no way a van could get up here. We continue our painfully slow pace up and down steep hills, fording rivers and the ravines in between, until we emerge from the surrounding forest onto a large treeless scar, the remnant of a landslide from years ago. It's not much farther until the end of the road, Emily calls back to us as she pulls over. "But this is the only opportunity to see the view down the valley, so we'll have a quick break here for lunch. Don't get too close to the edge, okay, guys?" I understand her warning as soon as I get out of the Jeep and see how steeply the mountainside drops off beside us. There'd be no surviving a fall down there. We'd been driving in the trees for so long, I hadn't realized how high we'd actually climbed, and I have to strain my eyes to make out the handful of tiny farmhouses hidden amongst the patchwork of fields far below. The valley continues into the distance, narrowing until it finally ends at a wall of mountains that runs from north to south. The mountain range forming a natural border, with Morrison County hidden on its western flank. I pull my phone from my pocket to take a photo, and notice some of the others doing the same. "Has anyone got any signal?" Priya calls out, lifting her phone above her head and shading her eyes to look at the screen from below. I glance down at the bars on mine, and I've got nothing. I chime in with the others, calling out that I don't, when Sky interrupts. "There's no cell phone coverage up here. We're going to be offline for the next week. No calls, no messages, no social media, no access to the internet." Sky smirks as an unhappy murmur grumbles through the group. It isn't long before we're told to get back in the Jeeps and we're continuing along the road in the trees again. But we've only been driving another few minutes when the Jeep slows and then stops for the final time. Emily turns and smiles. "This is the end of the road, folks. Now, we walk." We spill out of the Jeeps, eager to begin our trek as the drivers pass our packs down from the roof racks. I haven't even finished putting on my backpack when two of the guides suddenly jump into their Jeeps and drive back down the road. "They're taking the Jeeps?" I ask. "Yeah, we leave one vehicle here in case of an emergency, but the others are returning to base camp for another guiding trip we've got booked," Emily replies. "They'll come back and pick us up at the end of camp." "Let's get moving," Sky calls over her shoulder as she walks into the trees. "We've got a 4-hour hike ahead of us, and we want to get to the lodge before dark." Emily gives me a smile and gestures for me to follow. We enter the trees at the end of the road and walk single file along the track in the shade of the high canopy. After a few minutes, I understand why the road ended where it did. The trees open to a ravine, much wider and deeper than the ones we'd forded earlier, the bank dropping steeply to a river raging over rapids below. The only way across is via a narrow swing bridge suspended across the gorge. Not long after crossing the bridge, we enter a small meadow with a stream lining one side. We cross the clearing and follow the stream, making our way along its shingle bank, occasionally passing small piles of stones as we walk. Emily explains that they're called cairns and are used to mark the path so we know we're still on the right track. Eventually, we re-enter the trees at an entrance marked by a red and yellow striped wooden stake. "We've been doing a lot of work on these paths over the last few years, trying to improve the access to the lodge since we started bringing groups up here," Emily explains. "Isn't this the national park?" I ask, wondering why a private company is maintaining the track. "No, this is privately owned land. The owners built the lodge over 50 years ago, but ended up settling in the valley. About 10 years ago, they agreed to hire it out to us so we could bring climbing groups up here, and after we started running camps with the Leadership Institute, they gave us exclusive use of it." "Do you spend a lot of time up here?" I ask. "We usually have 1 week on, 1 week off, depending on the length of the bookings. And when we're not working, all the guides are on call with search and rescue. We try to make the most of the work over the summer months. There's not a lot of work here over the winter." "What do you do during the winter then?" "Ethan and some of the other guides are students, so they only do this as a summer job. I originally came here for a single summer, but that was over 4 years ago. After Sky and I got together, we decided we wanted to stay here year-round, so we instruct at one of the ski resorts and work with search and rescue over the winter." "You teach skiing too?" I ask, amazed. "Is there anything you can't do?" "Ha! You give me too much credit. Sky's the one who can do anything. She trained as a paramedic. She's the first medical responder on search and rescue ops. You should see her. No matter how dire the situation, she has this incredible calmness about her. She always knows what to do." "I don't think I could be like that," I say. "Sure you could. You just need the right training." "No, I mean, I don't think I have the right temperament. I'm not a very calm person. I'm more of a panic, panic kind of person. Yeah, sometimes it does just come down to personality, but I think a lot of the time panic comes from not knowing what to do. Training can help with that. The more you're exposed to certain situations, the more prepared you are to deal with them. One thing's for sure, though, panic just makes everything worse. It shuts your brain down so you can't function. It never helps. Until now, I hadn't really understood how coming into the wilderness could teach us anything about leadership. But this clicked with me. How can you lead if you're panicking? I follow behind Ethan, Dean, and Priya at the front of the group as we continue along the narrow trail for the next few hours. I've nearly had enough, my shoulders aching from carrying a heavy pack for so long, when I notice the path lightening ahead, and then we exit the trees into an enormous clearing. Standing proudly in the middle of that clearing, bathed in the late afternoon sun, is a large log cabin. Ethan turns to face us. "Welcome to the lodge." Chapter 6. There are whoops and cheers as everyone exits the trees, realizing we've arrived at our destination. I drop my backpack to the ground and sigh with relief as I stretch my arms and neck, trying to release the tension in my shoulders. I hear groans as others follow suit. Lying on the grass with their arms outstretched, faces basking in the warm sun. The lodge sits in the middle of a rectangular-shaped clearing, bordered by trees on all sides. A river emerges from the forest at the top corner of the clearing, where it is split in two by a raised embankment. One branch of the river continues along the right side of the clearing and disappears into the trees in the direction we've just come. The second runs along the top end of the clearing opposite us. Trees line the bank on the other side of the stream, but don't extend far, ending abruptly at the base of rocky bluffs rising steeply behind them. "I know you're all tired," Emily calls out, "but there are a couple of things we need to do before we can put our feet up for the day." Her announcement is met with a chorus of loud groans. "I'm going to show you where the toilets are, and then you need to pitch your tents and get them ready for tonight before it gets dark. Come on." The guides appear amused at how tired we look as we drag ourselves to our feet. I try to hide how sore I am. I figure they're watching us to see how we cope, and I don't want them to think I can't keep up. I'd consider myself to be pretty fit before coming here, but my body just isn't used to carrying a heavy load for so long. "Hey, Jess, give us a hand, will you?" I turn to see Matt and Dean lying on the ground behind me. "You look like you've still got lots of energy," Matt says, holding his hand up toward me. "What do you think, Priya?" I tilt my head, as if weighing up whether or not to help them. Maybe we should just leave them here. "Come on, Priya. Don't abandon us," Dean pleads. Priya laughs, reaching down to take Dean's outstretched hand. How could I possibly refuse a face like that? I take Matt's hand, letting out an exaggerated groan as I lean back to pull him up, which turns out to be surprisingly hard to do. He's much heavier than I expected. The four of us run to catch up with the others. Emily shows us where the two eco-toilets are located in a small hut further back near the trees behind the lodge. She then explains that a rainwater tank feeds the taps in the lodge and is safe to drink. The lodge has solar panels and a small battery. Emily points to the roof of the lodge. It's enough to provide power for lights and for the radio, but not much else. There's an outlet you can use to charge your phones, but use it during the day. She leads us around to the front of the lodge. One last thing before you can relax. You need to get on with setting up your tents for the night. You need to work it out on your own. No help from the guides. Priya and I pick up our packs and head over to a spot about halfway between the lodge and a clump of trees and get to work setting up the tent. I look around when we finish securing the fly and notice that we're the first to get ours up. We've all chosen to pitch our tents close together. Safety in numbers, I guess. But Matt and Dean's is closest to ours. I suppose we need to take this to the lodge. Priya lifts the bag of food out of her pack. We head over to the lodge and climb the stairs to the deck, where Marley is leaning against the wooden railing, watching everyone. Well done on being the first to finish, he says. You can take the food inside. Emily will tell you where to put it. We open the door and enter a large rustic room where everything is made of wood. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, the enormous rectangular table dominating its center. There's a collection of sofas and armchairs nestled cozily around the open fireplace at one end of the room, a blazing fire already crackling in welcome. Emily, Sky, and Ethan are preparing food at the kitchen bench on the opposite side of the room. "Hi," Priya calls out as we walk in. Ethan turns and gives us a big smile. "Aha! You owe me $10. He nudges Sky with his elbow. Sky grumbles back at him, then looks over at us. "You can put the food on the floor in the storeroom." We make our way past an open bunkroom door to the storeroom directly behind the kitchen and enter a small room lined with shelves, stacked with food and equipment. Priya places our bag of food on the floor and we head back out. "Is there anything we can help with?" Priya asks. "You get to put your feet up tonight," Emily replies with a smile. "We'll get you to work tomorrow." We both say thanks, then head outside to join Marley, who's watching the other students still wrestling with their tents. Slowly, they join us on the deck as they finish, and we remain outside chatting until Emily appears at the door, announcing dinner's ready. My mouth waters as soon as we enter the lodge. The smell of cooked garlic and onions heavy in the air, along with other scents I can't distinguish other than being, well, food. The table is already lined with steaming bowls of stew, and I realize I'm absolutely ravenous. Talk is quickly replaced by eating and murmurs of appreciation as we thank the cooks, and hardly another word is spoken until all the bowls have been scraped clean. After dinner, we make our way to the seats by the fire, where Marley is already waiting, standing in front of the fireplace, holding a cup of steaming hot chocolate in his hands. "First, I wanted to congratulate you all on completing your first day of camp. I'm pleased to see we didn't lose anyone on our way here, which is always a relief," he chuckles. "I've got one housekeeping item I need to cover tonight, and then you're free for the rest of the evening. From tomorrow morning, you'll be responsible for meals, cleaning, and fire lighting. I've made up a roster for the next week. Make sure you check it. It's your responsibility to know what shift you're on and to turn up on time." He smiles and clasps his hands in front of him. "That's all I wanted to cover tonight. We'll get started with group activities first thing after breakfast tomorrow. Ethan, I think you wanted to suggest an activity for tonight, though?" "Yeah, I do." Ethan walks over from the kitchen. "There's a hot spring not far from here, and it's a great way to end the day after a hike. Does anyone want to come?" Without fail, every one of us raises our hand. "Great," he says. "Get your head torches and towels, and we'll meet outside in 5 minutes." The tiredness I'd been feeling a few minutes earlier vanishes, completely replaced by excitement at the idea of going for a swim in a hot spring in the middle of nowhere. It only takes a few minutes for everyone to get ready and meet back at the steps of the lodge. We're all going except Emily and Sky, who decide to stay behind. It's a clear evening, and the moon, although not quite full, is bright enough to make out shapes in the distance once my eyes have the chance to adjust to the dark. Ethan leads the way and we follow behind, using our headlamps to help see the ground more clearly. At first, I think I'm imagining things when I see lights in the distance, but they aren't hallucinations. Their source revealed when we reach a small wooden bridge at the edge of the clearing. The bridge is lit by solar lights at both ends, and the lights continue every few meters along the path on the other side of the stream. The lights twinkle like fireflies through the branches, a magical fairy trail enticing us to follow. We talk in whispers as we walk, afraid anything louder will break the spell. The path diverts to follow a small side stream that climbs steeply until it reaches a stone weir. Water cascades down its sides as it overflows from the large pool that is formed behind it. The pool is gently lit by solar lights placed amongst the rocks that line the edges. Dense steam rises from the pool, wafting over the lights in the cold air, obscuring them and blunting details, making everything soft and blurry. Wow, I exhale when I see the pool. I second that wow. Matt stops beside me. We hurriedly strip down to our swimsuits. No need to feel self-conscious, the dim light providing a cloak of darkness. I tentatively dip my foot into the water. At first, it's almost too hot as my cold feet adjust to the warmth, but after a few seconds of sitting on the edge, I'm able to lower myself in. I wade to the other side of the pool and discover a rock ledge, the perfect height to sit on, leaving my shoulders out of the water. I've never experienced anything like this before. It feels eerie, surreal. The steam swirls whenever someone moves, giving it an almost solid appearance, so dense it wets my face. I lay my head back to rest on the rocks behind me and look up at the sky. Through wafting steam, I make out the black sky covered in millions of stars. I'd been too busy looking at the ground as we walked here to pay much attention to the sky. But now, I'm awestruck. It's impressive, isn't it? I lift my head and wave my hand through the steam to see who's talking. The air clears momentarily, and it's Ethan. He's looking up at the stars, too. I wonder if he knows who he's talking to. I almost forgot I wasn't alone for a moment, I say. I mean, obviously I know I'm not alone, but I just kinda did, if you know what I mean. I feel so inarticulate, unable to find the words to express myself. I know what you mean. It's easy to get lost in your own thoughts up here. I hadn't realized how big the sky is, I blurt, then wish I hadn't. It sounded so stupid as soon as I said it out loud. Makes you feel pretty insignificant, doesn't it? It's one of the things I miss the most when I leave here. You miss feeling insignificant? I joke. Kind of, I guess, Ethan chuckles. I mean, I miss how much more you can see when you're away from the city lights. Everything is so much clearer up here. And I don't just mean the sky. You get this perspective of how tiny we are in the scheme of things, and it's easy to forget that when you can't see this, to get bogged down in the petty day-to-day stuff that shouldn't really matter. And now I feel even more inarticulate. Emily said you're a student? Yeah, I'm studying to be an environmental engineer. I start my 3rd year at Ashley in a few weeks' time. Oh, wow, you're at AIT? Good school. Yeah, I got lucky. You're being modest. Ashley's really competitive. You're obviously smarter than you look. Ha, likewise. You can't have thought I looked that stupid. You did bet on Priya and me to get the tent up first. What makes you think I bet on you to be first? Because you won the bet against Sky. Oh, he laughs. Not exactly. We weren't betting on who would be first. Sky bet you two wouldn't be able to work out how to pitch the tent without help, and I told her I reckoned she was underestimating you girls and you'd be able to work it out just fine. I'm glad he can't see me as I screw up my face. Well, that's insulting. How could she think I wouldn't be able to work out how to pitch a simple tent? I get the feeling Sky doesn't like me very much. I don't think Sky has any feelings about you one way or the other. She just thought you two looked like a couple of city princesses who'd never put up a tent before. Ouch, that's a bit harsh. I guess I have something to prove then. Don't we all? I can't believe they have hot pools up here, Priya says as we lie in our sleeping bags. I know. I've heard of places like this in Iceland and New Zealand where you can hike to natural hot pools, but I never thought I'd get to go to one myself. I saw a documentary about monkeys in Japan that sit in hot springs to keep warm in winter. Oh yeah, I've seen that too, I say. That would be so cool. Could you imagine doing that in winter surrounded by snow? I wish I could do that sometime. Be careful what you wish for. If it starts snowing up here tomorrow, I'm blaming you. Priya laughs. We'll blame you too, Dean yells out from his tent. Hey, this is a private conversation, I reply. But you're so much more interesting than Matt, Dean calls back. Well, that's plain rude, Matt says sleepily. I'm just too tired tonight. Night-night then, sleepyhead, Priya calls out. A chorus of good night chimes out across all the tents, followed by laughter as we realize that everyone can hear. Chapter 7. The morning starts out cool and crisp, but as our bonds grow with each new team-building activity, so does the ferocity of the sun. Despite the rising temperature, we continue with challenge after challenge until Marley, as if noticing the heat for the first time, pauses mid-sentence to scan our sweat-drenched faces and finally tells us to take a break. We collapse onto the cool grass in the shade of the trees near our tents, guzzling tepid water from our drink bottles. We chat easily, relaxed in each other's company, and I realized this morning's activities had clearly achieved what was intended. Before today, I'd really only talked to Matt, Dean, and Priya, but now I feel like I'm getting to know the others too. I glance at Kaylin, sitting next to me, reading a book. I noticed him reading it at breakfast this morning too. "What are you reading?" I ask, leaning closer. He glances up from his book and closes it to show me the cover. 100 Years of Solitude. "Oh, I haven't read that one," I say, not wanting to let on that I haven't even heard of it. "I've just started it. It's supposed to be one of the greatest novels ever written." "Oh yeah, I've heard of it." Matt leans across me to take a closer look. "Isn't it one of the top 100 novels of all time or something?" "Yeah, that's right." Kaylin flashes a smile. "That's exactly what it is. My dad was reading an article about the best books ever written last year, and we started going through the list together to see how many of them we've read. And although we'd read a few of them, we were really shocked to realize that we hadn't read many of them at all, so we decided to work our way through the list, starting at the top." "What number's this one?" I ask. "There are loads of different lists," Kaylin says, pulling a folded sheet of paper he's been using as a bookmark from between the pages. "But the one we're using has it at number 19. Number 20 is The Great Gatsby, and I've already read that one, so it's straight on to number 21 after this. Still got a long way to go, though." His voice fades off shyly as he finishes, swallowing awkwardly as though he thinks he's been talking too long. "You probably think it's pretty stupid." "Not at all," Matt says immediately. "I think it's great that you're doing something like this with your dad. I'd love to do something like this with mine, but I doubt he'd ever do it, to be honest." He shrugs his shoulders. "But you've inspired me, Kaylin. I think I might start doing it myself when I get home." "Yeah, me too." I smile, and Kaylin visibly relaxes. "We've got one more activity planned for today," Marley calls out. "But this one's an individual challenge rather than a team effort. Get your water bottles and a towel. We're going for a walk." It's exactly what we want to hear. None of us wants to do any more running around in this heat, and the directive to bring a towel hints strongly at the promise of a swim. "Should we change into swimsuits?" Lily asks. "No, just come as you are," Marley replies. Lily looks as disappointed as I feel. I guess we aren't going for a swim after all. Ethan leads the way, and we follow him across the clearing to where the river emerges from the surrounding forest. We enter the trees, grateful to be back under their protective canopy, permitting only dappled sunlight to reach the world beneath. The air immediately feels cooler, and the smell of damp earth greets us as we disturb the ground with our footsteps. The path follows alongside the river, sometimes right beside it, and at other times moving back into the trees, undulating over small rises, but overall climbing toward the cliffs looming behind. The river widens, disappearing around a sleepy bend where the bank rises above it, and Ethan diverts off the path to scramble to the top. We climb after him and join Ethan near the edge. The river snakes in a large sea around the rocky outcrop where we're standing, unable to carve its way through the hard rock beneath. The river has formed a deep pool directly below us, its stony bottom disappearing beneath the dark blue water where the river has tried to gouge its way through, instead only digging deeper where the rock has stubbornly resisted its force. "You've probably worked out what the challenge is already." Ethan holds his hand out as if introducing us to the river. "Yup, you've got to jump from here." He bends and takes off his boots, then turns to face us. "It's pretty simple. Cross your arms in front of you like this and hold onto your shoulders. Then jump straight out, feet first. There's nothing to worry about as long as you jump straight. No hidden rocks beneath. And I'll be in the water when you get down. Emily will let you know when it's safe to jump." He doesn't wait for anyone to say anything, smiles, and then casually steps off the ledge, landing cleanly in the water with a small splash. I lean forward and see his head pop back into view, waving up at everyone and calling out, "Ready!" "No way," A tall boy called Jackson mutters beneath his breath. I'm not doing that. You don't have to, Marley replies. This is a personal challenge. It's up to each of you to decide if you want to do it or not. I move back from the edge, and we're all looking at each other, wondering who's going to go first. Then I notice Holly taking off her boots. She doesn't say anything, deliberately trying not to draw attention to herself, and quietly walks over to the jumping point. I nudge Priya and tip my head toward Holly. Some of the others notice too. Holly jumps. I hear a splash and rush back to the edge to see if she's okay. Her head emerges and she yells out, "Yeah!" We start cheering. I can't believe how fearless she is. I'm terrified at the thought of jumping. Come on, guys! You'll love it! Holly calls up to us. It's really deep. I couldn't touch the bottom. I watch as Ethan swims over to Holly. She wraps her arm around his neck, and they swim to the shallows at the side. Kalen is the next surprise. He takes off his glasses and hands them to Marley before stepping closer to the edge, then jumps, yelling, "Holy shit!" the entire way down. And then there's a cue. I don't want anyone to think I'm afraid, so I take off my boots and get in line behind Matt. Each person has their own style. Some scream, others are silent. Matt yells like he's attacking something as he leaps, a kind of war cry. When it's my turn, I don't hesitate. I know if I think about it, I won't jump. I just have to do it. It is terrifying, and I scream for a second as I jump, but then quickly clamp my mouth shut, clenching my teeth together in anticipation of the impact. I'm surprised how hard the water feels as I hit it, grateful I'd come down straight, my feet breaking my entry. The water feels icy, but euphoria quickly replaces the shock of the cold when I reach the surface. I push my hair from my face and am greeted by Ethan grinning at me. Nice jump. He takes hold of my arm and helps tow me to the side. That was awesome, I say as soon as my feet make contact with the stony bottom, and without thinking, I grab Ethan into a hug. I feel self-conscious as soon as I do it, and quickly pull away to face the others on the bank, throwing my arms in the air as I bounce up and down in the water and yell, "Woohoo!" I join the others watching from the bank and sit next to Oliver, a stocky boy about my height, with an aversion to porridge if his reaction to this morning's breakfast is anything to go by. We watch as everyone takes their turn to jump until finally, Jackson stands at the edge. He looks down at us, then turns to say something to Marley. We wait, wondering whether he'll do it or chicken out. He turns back to face us and begins to scream, then jumps, continuing to scream the entire way down, torpedoing into the water, and he's still screaming seconds later when he emerges. We laugh, cheering and clapping, and he's obviously pumped at overcoming his fear, his face triumphant as he thrusts his hands into the air and then submerges out of sight. Ethan quickly swims over to him and pulls him to the surface, then drags him coughing to the edge. "You crazy idiot! Why didn't you tell us you can't swim?" Ethan says. "I can swim a little bit. I'm just better if I can touch the bottom," Jackson gasps as he crawls out of the water to sit on the bank next to Oliver. "Yeah, nah, that's called walking, mate, not swimming," Oliver replies. "Even if it's in the water?" Jackson raises his eyebrows. "Still walking," Oliver shakes his head, laughing. "So was it the jump you were worried about, or the water?" I ask. "The drowning mainly," he says, giving me a wry smile. The next time I jump, I decide to go to a ledge further down the bank, closer to the water. I don't feel the need to do it from the highest point again. Once is enough for me. The water is freezing, so after my second jump, I sit on the rocks at the river's edge with Jackson and watch. Holly surprises us all by jumping again and again from the top ledge, and I find myself envious of her fearlessness. "I think this is pretty genius, actually," Oliver says, joining us. "We're bathing and washing our clothes at the same time. I think I might start bathing with my clothes on when I get home to save time." "Or you could just use a washing machine," Jackson replies. "You know, the old-fashioned way." "Wouldn't know about that," Oliver says. I just chuck my clothes on the floor and they appear folded in my drawer the next day. The washing fairies do it while I'm at school. You can't be serious, I say. Oh, Jess, of course I'm not serious. I know fairies don't do the washing. They do the dishes. It's the elves that do the washing. He winks as he pokes me hard in the side, making me yelp. I mean, your parents don't seriously still do your washing for you, do they? Don't be ridiculous. Of course they don't. That's what the housekeeper's for. Chapter 8. Ethan and I are going to see if we can catch some fish for dinner if anyone wants to join us, Emily announces after our final survival skills lesson for the day. A day that had started with learning how to build a shelter and safely light and maintain a fire, and ended with Sky instructing us on the basics of first aid, teaching us everything from CPR to dealing with fractures and burns to treating head injuries and hypothermia. What do you feel like doing? Priya turns to me. I was thinking I might go fishing, I reply. I've never been before. What about you? Do you want to come too? Ugh, no thanks. Can't think of anything worse. She pulls a face. Hey girls. Dean walks over to us. Matt and I are going to join the fishing group. Are you keen to come too? I'm keen, but Priya is super keen. Priya interrupts, nudging me as she smiles at Dean. Jess and I were just saying that we wanted to check out the fishing, weren't we, Jess? Yeah, we were just talking about going fishing. I try not to laugh as Matt looks at me as though I'm a complete idiot. Great. That's great, isn't it, Matt? Dean says excitedly. Yeah, great. Matt grunts unenthusiastically. I've done a bit of fishing with my dad and uncle, but I doubt we're going to be using a rod up here. Should be fun, Dean says to Priya as they walk out of the lodge together. There's a good fishing spot about half an hour back down the main track, Emily says. Emily and Holly lead the way, with Dean and Priya following, chatting animatedly to each other as they walk. I've noticed they seem to naturally find each other wherever we go, and often sit beside each other at mealtime and group activities. Matt hangs back and walks with me. I've never been fishing before, he says. I'm not sure if it's my thing, really. Never been a fan of killing animals for sport. Not surprising, given the whole vegetarian thing, I reply. I think hunting for sport is horrible, too. But this isn't for sport, though. We're gonna eat it, aren't we? Of course we're gonna eat it, Ethan calls out behind us. I didn't realize he was listening. I thought he was talking to Lily. We'll only take enough for dinner. Anything else, we'll let go. Good to know, Matt says flatly, sounding a bit annoyed. I look over at him and he's focused intently on the path in front of us. My mom is a vegetarian. I lower my voice so Ethan and Lily can't overhear. She doesn't eat meat for ethical reasons, so I don't usually eat much either. Is that why you're a vegetarian? I'm vegan, actually, and it's for a lot of reasons. I don't like the idea of farming and killing animals for the purpose of feeding us, when there are other things we can eat instead. It's also for environmental reasons, and I can't stand the taste of it either, to be honest. Why did you want to come fishing then? I didn't really. I wasn't keen on the fishing part. I was just more interested in hanging out with you guys. He avoids making eye contact. What? He glances at me. I didn't realize I had the power to entice someone to abandon their ideals so easily. I nudge him with my shoulder as we walk. Who says it was you I wanted to spend time with? Maybe it was Priya. Or Ethan. He gives me a smile. Did I hear my name? Ethan asks. Of course you did, Matt mutters, shaking his head. Matt was just saying how he was looking forward to you teaching him how to fish, Ethan. I reply over my shoulder. No pressure then, Ethan says. I just hope we manage to catch something. You look like you're a pretty good catch. I mean, good at catching fish. Lily giggles at her joke. I roll my eyes at Matt. Ethan must be loving it. I bet his ego is as big as his biceps. We follow the river until we reach a fallen tree lying across it like a bridge, from one bank to the other. The river isn't deep, but there are deeper patches close to the bank and a few large rocks near the middle, breaking the smooth flow of water where they poke through the surface. This is our special fishing spot, eh, Ethan? Emily says.
Sure is. Almost guaranteed to catch something here.
They empty their backpacks on the ground, producing fishing line, hooks, and sinkers. Then Emily instructs us to find sticks to use as fishing rods. After we've collected our sticks, Ethan helps attach lengths of fishing wire to a hook and sinker. Then we tie it on to complete our rod.
You should try to keep as still as possible, he says. The fish are startled by noise or movement, even shadows. You want to focus on areas where the fish have some cover, like the tree or bank overhanging, or by those rocks sticking out of the water.
As everyone vies for position around the fallen tree, I decide to head downstream to the rocks and cast my line toward the closest one.
You might want to try the downstream side,
Ethan says, joining me. Okay, thanks. I move the line to reposition the hook. I stand watching the water, expecting Ethan to leave, but he doesn't. The silence feels awkward, and I wish he would say something or leave. I suppose you've been fishing since you were a kid? I ask to break the silence.
Pretty much. I was 7 the first time my dad took me fishing. Dad used to work up here as a guide, actually.
Does he still work as a guide?
No. Dad died in a climbing accident a while back.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's one of the risks of the job, I guess. But he loved it. And he used to bring me up here every chance he could. When I got older, I was able to join him on some of his guiding trips.
He pauses.
It's part of the reason I became a guide. I guess I spent so much of my childhood up here, it feels like he's still here in a way.
But you don't plan on being a guide forever, by the sounds of it?
I love guiding, but I want to do something to help protect all this. And I figure becoming an environmental engineer might be a way to help do that. So this is just a holiday job for me.
Ethan puts his finger to his lips and whispers, "Did you see that?" I shake my head. I didn't see anything.
There.
He points again, and I see a shadow moving in the water near the rock. Then I feel a small tug on the line, tiny at first, and then a bigger tug. I give the stick a quick jerk and feel the line tighten. I think I've got something.
Let's take a look. Wind the line in using the stick.
I start rotating the stick in my hands, and then there's splashing near the rock. Oh my God, I've caught one! I slowly pull the line in, towing the thrashing fish toward the bank where Ethan scoops it into a net.
Hey, well done, Ethan says. It's a good size.
He pulls his knife out, then hesitates.
Do you want to do it?
I freeze, unsure what to do. I'd been so excited about catching the fish, I hadn't thought about the fact that it now had to be killed. I don't think I want to do it. I'm sorry. How could I not have thought this through?
No, it's fine. I'll do it.
He lays the flapping fish on a rock and quickly pushes the knife into its head.
I feel sick.
I know I probably should have done it. I'm sorry I couldn't.
You don't need to apologize. I didn't want to kill my first fish either.
Yeah, but you were 7, I reply. No one would expect a 7-year-old to kill a fish.
My dad did.
He made you kill it?
Yup. Made me feel it too. I cried the whole time.
The fish lying on the rock suddenly starts to twitch. It's still alive! I shriek. I wait for Ethan to do something, but he doesn't move, and I'm horrified at the thought of it suffering. I grab the knife and stab the fish in the head, and then again. Finally, it stops moving. I realize I'm going to be sick and run toward the trees and vomit. I can't bring myself to face Ethan, embarrassed at how I reacted, and sit on the ground, taking deep breaths to calm myself.
You okay?
He walks up behind me. I take a deep breath. Yeah, I just need a second. He hands me my water bottle, and I take a drink.
You know, I threw up after I killed my first fish, too.
Great, so I've got the resilience of a 7-year-old. He laughs and holds out his hand, helping me stand.
The first time is the hardest.
I don't think I want to find out it gets easier. I shake my head.
Lucky for you, you don't have to.
I look upriver to see what the others are doing, and Matt quickly looks away. I can only imagine how awful he thinks I am for stabbing the fish like that.
That fish was dead, you know, Ethan says. Sometimes they keep twitching after they're dead. Even when their head is cut off and they've been gutted, they can still move.
Seriously? How is that even possible?
Its nerves are still working, I guess, Ethan replies. It can even happen when it's chopped into pieces, especially when you add something salty. It's pretty freaky to watch. It scared the crap out of me the first time I saw it.
Ethan picks up the fish and we head back upstream to the others. Lily, Dean, and Holly have each caught a fish too. Priya and Matt are sitting together away from everyone else, chatting. Neither of them has attempted to catch anything. They stand and begin to walk down the track toward the lodge before we reach them, and I wonder if they're trying to avoid us. When we reach the lodge, I find Priya and Lily in the kitchen with Kai, Lily's tent buddy. I head across the room to join them, glad that they at least remembered we're on dinner duty tonight. Kai looks as though she's already been here a while, standing with a knife in hand beside a chopping board piled with diced vegetables. I glance from Kai to Lily, and it occurs to me that they couldn't be two peas from more different pods. Where Lily is tall and athletic with light blue eyes and long blonde hair, Kai is petite with dark eyes that match her blacker-than-black pixie cut, giving her fine features an almost doll-like appearance. But although Kai looks cute and playful, her personality is anything but. She's all business, always the first to raise her hand, the first to volunteer to lead a team, the first to take charge in a group activity. She doesn't join in on the jokes or banter, and most definitely wouldn't dream of flirting with one of our instructors. Dean and Ethan arrive with the fish and offer to help us when they realize we have absolutely no idea how to cook it. After filleting the fish, Ethan whispers something to Dean, then goes into the storeroom, returning a few seconds later with aluminum foil and some herbs and salt. After laying the fillets on the foil, Ethan asks Lily to sprinkle some salt on them. He's grinning from ear to ear, and immediately I know what he hopes will happen. Dean's clearly in on it too, watching with a mischievous look on his face. I hold my breath as Lily sprinkles salt on the fillets, waiting to see what will happen. But nothing does, and I actually feel disappointed. And then they begin to twitch. Lily leaps back from the bench, and she, Priya, and Kai let out a scream. "It's alive!" Dean bellows as Ethan and I burst out laughing, and the girls' heads whip around to glare at us. "That's not funny," Priya says angrily, finally getting over her initial shock. "Oh, come on, it's a little funny." Dean takes a deep breath in an attempt to calm his laughter and tries to put his arm around her. "Ugh, you stink of fish." She ducks out of his reach. "Yeah, you really do stink, guys." Kai screws up her nose. "Maybe we need a trip to the hot pool after dinner," Ethan says. "How about you, Dean? You scrub my back, I'll scrub yours." "Sounds good to me. How about it, girls? Can we persuade you to join us? Promise not to bring any fish, don't we, Ethan?" Dean directs his comment to Priya, who's still glaring at him. "Oh, come on, please forgive us." Matt is quieter than usual at dinner, and it feels like he's avoiding me, choosing to sit at the other end of the table. I'm sure he saw me stab the fish earlier, and I can only imagine how callous it must have looked. He wouldn't have known why I did it, only that I was attacking that poor fish like some murderous wild woman, and I'm sure that's the reason he's keeping his distance. I look for Matt as we leave the lodge, hoping to talk to him on the way to the hot pool, and see that he's already walking ahead with some of the others. "Matt!" I call out. He turns and waits for me to catch up. "Hi." He gives me a small smile when I reach him. "Hey," I reply, suddenly not sure what I'm going to say. "Did you enjoy the fishing today?" he asks. "Not particularly. I hadn't really thought through the fact that I would have to kill the fish if I caught it. I threw up afterwards. I wondered if that was what happened. I saw you run off into the trees. I was a bit worried, actually, but it looked like Ethan was looking after you, so I figured you'd be okay." "Oh, that's nice of you to worry. I actually thought you were upset with me." "Why would you think that? You just seemed really quiet at dinner. I thought maybe it was to do with me killing the fish." "No, I wasn't upset with you. Not at all. I guess I was just feeling a bit introspective after going fishing with you guys. It's not something I've ever been a part of before. Even though I didn't actually catch the fish myself, I was just feeling a bit, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but something like that." He pauses.
You probably think I'm pathetic for being bothered by it.
Of course not. I think it's great that you care so much. I can't see his face as we walk along the dimly lit track, but maybe that's a good thing, making it easier to talk. I think it's brave to take a stand about something you feel strongly about. Not many guys our age would. I actually think it's the opposite of pathetic. It's anti-pathetic, I say, and we both burst out laughing. Thanks, Jess. Matt puts his arm around my shoulder and gives me a gentle squeeze as we walk. Everyone's already in the water by the time we get there. The steam is just as thick as last time, and it looks beautiful wafting in front of the solar lights, casting shadowy outlines of anyone sitting nearby. But unlike the eerie quietness of the first night, tonight the air is full of laughter and loud voices. Dean and Ethan's voices louder than the rest as they joke about scrubbing backs. Matt and I strip down to our swimsuits, leaving our clothes at the edge of the pool. Matt steps in first and turns, holding out his hand to help me in. Then we swim over to join the others. Isn't this the best way to finish the day? Holly says as I sit beside her. More laughter comes from across the pool. Dean is now trying to sell Ethan's backwashing services to others. Lily takes up the offer and begins giggling, saying he's tickling, not scrubbing. Ethan and Dean are such good fun, aren't they? Holly laughs as she listens to their antics. Yeah, they sure are, I reply. I think we've been really lucky with our group. Everyone seems to get on so well. I know! Everyone's so fun and easy to get along with. Some certainly seem to get on a little better than others, though, she says, as we hear Priya now laughing and squealing, while Dean tells her he's going to scrub her back. Priya scoots over to sit by Holly, still laughing. We were just saying how much fun Dean and Ethan are, Holly says to her. They are, aren't they? I can hear the smile in her voice. Dean's a great guy. Holly nudges me in the side. Yeah, really great. Don't you think so, Priya? I take the hint. Mm-hmm. Oh, come on, I say exasperated. That's all you have to say? Mm-hmm. Of course I think Dean is great. He is great, obviously. You two seem to get on really well, Holly hints. I think I get on pretty well with you guys too, Priya replies with a laugh. Yeah, but I don't think we touch each other as much as you two do, I say, and Holly bursts out laughing. What do you mean? We don't touch each other. Are you kidding me? You guys don't stop touching each other, Holly says. I don't think you're even aware of it. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's really cute. Obviously, Dean likes you and you like him, I say. I honestly don't know what you're talking about. We're just friends. Yeah, of course you're friends, but Dean definitely likes you more than just friends, Holly continues. I mean, he hasn't tried to scrub anyone else's back here tonight. That's just because I was sitting next to him, that's all. And that's because he always chooses to sit next to you, to walk with you, to talk to you. I'm not sure if she's playing dumb or really has no idea. Come on, Priya, seriously, you haven't noticed? No, not really, Priya says quietly. I just thought he was probably like that with everyone. Holly leans closer to Priya so she can speak more quietly. He's not, Priya. I mean, he's friendly to everyone, but he pays special attention to you. Oh, are you sure? I'm so bad at reading these things. I can never tell if a guy is interested in me or not. Trust me, Holly replies. He is definitely 100% undeniably interested in you. So, the question is, are you interested in him? There's a long pause. Yeah, I guess I am. I just didn't think he'd be interested in me. He's so good-looking and tall and smart and funny and just so everything. Why would he be interested in me? Are you really sure? Yes! Holly and I yell far too loudly as everyone falls silent. "Nothing to see here," I call out. "You can go about your business, move along." I hear Oliver laugh from the shadows as the others continue with their conversations. "Seriously, Priya, are you just fishing for compliments, or do you really not know what a catch you are?" I lower my voice. "Priya, you're gorgeous, you're kind, everyone likes you, you're scary smart," Holly says. "You do have a tendency to overpack, though," I interrupt, and Priya bursts out laughing. "But seriously, you shouldn't doubt yourself. Dean is really into you. You just need to look at the signs. It's obvious to everyone except you." Speaking of signs, Holly nudges me and I see Ethan emerging from the mist. For the briefest second, I wonder if she means this is a sign Ethan is interested in me, but my confusion disappears when he begins to speak to Holly. Embarrassed at my stupidity, I lower myself further into the water, gratefully hiding my crimson face in the darkness. "What secret things are you girls talking about over here?" Ethan says to Holly. Holly starts to giggle. "Seriously, what is with everyone giggling anytime Ethan starts talking to them?" I whisper to Priya. "I know, right? Lily, Kai, Holly, you all do it every time you talk to him," she whispers back. "I do not," I say forcefully, then lower my voice. "I do not giggle when I talk to him. Come on, you're joking, right?" "You should see your face right now. You're horrified at the thought that you're a giggler just like the others." "Yeah, I am, actually. I'd be mortified if I behaved that way around him." "I'm just kidding, Jess," she says quietly. "You don't. I'm just messing with you." "Ugh, that's just plain mean, Priya. Don't do that." I'd never be able to look Ethan, or anyone else for that matter, in the eyes again if I thought I did that whole giggling thing when I talked to him. "I just wanted a bit of payback after you girls gave me the third degree about Dean." I see Dean emerging from the mist and elbow Priya as he heads straight toward us. "Hey, I was wondering where you two had got to." Priya lets out a ridiculous giggle, completely putting it on and doing it far too convincingly. Laughter explodes out of me, and I can't stop as Priya then bursts out laughing too. "Wow, who knew I was so funny?" Dean looks a bit taken aback. I laugh until my face hurts and tears run down my cheeks. Slowly, I get the laughter under control, taking a few deep breaths to calm myself. "I wasn't sure if you were laughing or crying for a moment." Ethan suddenly appears in front of me. Without warning, he reaches his hand out and wipes a tear off my cheek, leaving dripping water in its place. The gesture is so utterly unexpected. The bubbles of laughter I'd been struggling to control instantly vaporize, leaving me in open-mouthed shock. Priya, Dean, and Holly have stopped talking and are watching us in silence too. "Laughing. Definitely laughing," I somehow managed to reply, breaking the silence. "Well, I'm turning into a prune," Ethan says, oblivious to the stunned reaction of the rest of us. "I think it's probably time to head back to camp." "Yeah, good idea," I say as he swims away. I look at Priya, and she says slowly, "What was that?" I go to speak, but I have no idea what to say, and just shake my head slowly in disbelief. What was that? "Signs, ladies," Holly says. "You just need to look for them." Chapter 9. "So, what was with you and Ethan last night?" Dean calls out from the kitchen. Thankfully, I have my back turned as I pick up a pile of bowls from the bottom shelf in the storeroom. I can't believe he's asking me this, and in front of Matt and Priya, too. I stall for time, pretending I can't find what I'm looking for. Then, when I can't delay any longer, I turn to go back into the kitchen. Dean is standing in the doorway with a huge grin on his face, blocking my exit. I look past him and see Matt staring at me in the background. "I'm not sure what you mean." I try to sound unruffled. "Excuse me." I step closer, forcing him to step back and make room for me to pass. I walk straight to the table, focusing my attention on the bowls in my hands, anything to avoid eye contact with Matt, who's now stirring the pot on the stove with great intensity. "So, how'd you boys sleep last night?" Priya intercepts Dean as he starts to follow me. "Ugh, it's like sleeping on concrete," Dean groans, and I let out a small sigh of relief, grateful for Priya's help to distract him. I seriously don't think those sleeping mats make a difference. Kai and Oliver arrive seconds later. Then the door to the bunk room opens, and Emily, Ethan, and Sky walk out. Sky's smug face seems to be permanently decorated with a smirk when she's around me. Ethan avoids eye contact with everyone, and I can't be sure, but he looks uncomfortable. Embarrassed, even. Great. Thanks, Dean. Ethan sits about as far away from me as humanly possible at breakfast. If he could have taken his breakfast outside without drawing attention to himself, I'm sure he would have. Matt won't look at me either. Sky, however, doesn't stop looking at me. Every time I glance in Ethan's direction, she's looking back, smirking, giving me the distinct impression that she thinks I'm just a big joke, a big city princess joke. "Who's up for a new challenge?" Marley says energetically as we gather around the fireplace after breakfast. His question is met with a mixture of groans, silence, and a single, "Yeah!" from Oliver. "That's the attitude, Oliver," Marley says.
"You know that means you've just volunteered to go first, whatever it is we're doing, don't you, mate?" Jackson says, patting Oliver's back.
"So, what am I up for?" Oliver shrugs, unconcerned. Emily lifts a helmet and a harness. "You lucky ducks get to go rock climbing today," she announces excitedly. "Yes!" Holly shouts, throwing her hands in the air. "Why didn't I keep my big mouth shut?" Oliver groans, covering his face with his hands.
"'Cause you're just a big suck-up and you can't help yourself," Jackson says. "You'll be fine, buddy. I'll catch you."
After being fitted with helmets and climbing harnesses, we follow the guides over the small bridge at the end of the clearing, then continue along the path on the other side. But instead of turning up to the hot pool as we've done every other time, we cross the small creek and continue along the path, which eventually leads us to a large rock face rising high above the trees. The cliff looks smooth and slippery from a distance, but as we get closer, I can see cracks and indentations covering its pitted surface, and I'm relieved to see that it isn't completely vertical, the face gently sloping back as it rises above us. We put on our climbing harnesses, and then Emily demonstrates how to use the carabiner and belay device. She shows us how the device automatically breaks when there's tension on it to stop the rope feeding through, preventing the climber from falling if they slip. "Heads up!" Sky's voice calls from above, her face peering over the top of the cliff face.
"How did she get up there?" Kaylin asks.
"There's a track around the side," Emily answers as Sky drops a length of rope down the rock face. A few seconds later, another lowers further along the wall. We watch as Emily ties the rope to her harness. Then Ethan loads the rope into the belay device and attaches it to his. "Climbing," Emily says. "Climb on," Ethan replies, and she begins to climb. We watch in silence as she ascends the wall, feeling for ridges and cracks in the rock with her fingers and feet, then pulling herself up the rock face. Ethan doesn't take his eyes off her, completely focused as he draws the slack down through the belay and keeps tension on the rope. About halfway up the rock face, Emily yells, "Falling!" and appears to deliberately let go. I hear gasps as she lets go, but Ethan pulls down with his brake hand and absorbs the weight of Emily's fall. She barely drops at all. She shifts her weight forward onto the wall and waves at us to show us it's all part of the demonstration before resuming her climb. When Emily reaches the top, she looks back over her shoulder. "You can lower." Ethan adjusts his grip and calls back, "Lowering." Emily leans back perpendicular to the wall, only her feet now making contact with the rock, and begins walking backwards, reaching the bottom with a grin. "Ollie, I think you volunteered to go first earlier." Emily holds the rope out to him as he sighs, reluctantly nodding his head. We watch from the base of the rock face, belaying the other students while we wait for our turn to climb. I've just finished belaying Priya when Lily and Matt take to the wall. I'm pretty sure Lily will be a natural at it because she's so sporty. However, I'm not sure how Matt will go, but he surprises me. Matt climbs with ease, and I realize he has the right physique for it. He's tall and strong, but not as bulky as Dean and Jackson, so he's able to carry his weight more easily, using the strength in his arms and hands as he climbs. I'm certain Matt has done this before as he begins his descent. He pushes out from the wall with his legs, leaping away from the cliff face as he drops, landing lightly a few meters further down, then bouncing off again, clearly enjoying himself. You've done this before, haven't you? I ask Matt.
Yeah, a few times. It's been a while, though. I forgot how much I enjoy it. Might need to try and find some time to do it when I get home. Are you up next?
Looks like it, I sigh.
You'll be fine. Just take your time.
Once Emily has tied the rope to my harness, I step closer to the wall and look up. I take a deep breath as I study the rock face one last time. I'm ready. Climbing!
Climb on,
Jackson says behind me. I feel nervous at first, wedging my fingertips as far as possible into the cracks, unsure of their strength. But it isn't hard to find good handholds, and I like the feeling, the rhythm of the climb. Searching, reaching, holding, lifting. I'm completely focused and don't look down, shutting out all distractions, and I'm surprised when I reach the top. I hadn't expected to reach it so quickly. Well done, Sky nods at me. Good climb, Jess. I raise my eyebrows at her compliment. Thanks. Enjoy your trip down. I intend to. After seeing how much fun Matt had, I'm really looking forward to this. I slowly lean back as my brain declares war on itself, fighting the instinct to hold on to the rock wall. Instinct loses the battle, and I force my body backwards until I'm at right angles with the cliff. I look beneath me and see Kai coming up, about midway on the other side. Ugh, shouldn't have looked down. Come on, Jess, you can do it. I take a few steps backwards, walking slowly at first. When I feel confident that I'm not going to fall, I push out with my legs, testing how it feels, and bounce straight back into the wall. The next bounce I make bigger and let the rope slide through my hand so I can lower at the same time. A smile spreads across my face. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. As I prepare to jump again, a scream pierces my concentration. I swivel, so I can look below and see Kai hanging flat against the rock, both hands gripping her rope, her face buried into her chest.
It's okay, Kai. I've got you,
Kaylin calls out from the ground where he's belaying her.
You can't fall. You're completely safe.
We won't let you fall, Kai, Emily calls up. It's safe to let go of the rope. You just need to find a handhold and somewhere for your feet. I can't, Kai cries down to them. I'm too scared. I lower myself slowly until I'm at the same level as Kai, then move across the rock until I'm beside her. Hey, Kai, I'm here too. She peers sideways at me without moving. I can't do this, Jess. I'm afraid I'm going to fall again. I know it's a long way down, but they won't let you fall. Kaylin's got you. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you are safe. I reach my hand out toward hers, her knuckles white as they grip tightly to the rope. I can hold on to you too if you like. Why don't you take my hand? Test it out. She doesn't move, and I don't want to rush her. She takes a deep, shuddery breath and lets go of the rope with one hand and quickly takes mine. Her whole body shakes as she takes another deep breath. There's a handhold here, Kai, I say, placing her hand on a ledge in the rock. She digs her fingers into the ledge and clings to it. And there's another one here. I put my hand on top of Kai's, still gripping the rope, and wait for her to let go. I lift her hand to the other ledge and she grasps it. I lower myself until I'm just beneath Kai, then push her feet onto small footholds hidden from her view. Now, all you need to do is put your weight on your feet. I'm too scared, Jess. The rope has still got you. You can't fall. I'll stay right here with you. She shakily places her weight on her feet and stands, clinging onto the handholds. Cheers and "Way to go, Kai!" erupt from the ground. What do you want to do, Kai? Do you want to keep climbing, or do you want to go down? She pauses, pressing her face against the rock. I want I want to go down, but I need to go up. I wouldn't be able to face the others if I give up.
Don't worry about the others. If you want to go down, we'll go down. But if you want to keep climbing, I'll come with you.
Will you?
Sure. Are you ready?
She nods, letting out a shaky breath. Climbing! I yell down to Jackson below.
Roger that,
he yells back up. Climbing! Kai calls down, and everyone lets out a cheer. Kai gives me a small smile, then looks up in search of her next handhold. I move sideways, making room between us, and search for my own, keeping pace with her as she climbs. You're doing great, Kai, Kaylin yells. I look over at her, and she's smiling again. Kaylin's words urging her to keep going. Not much further. We're nearly there, I say, looking up to see Sky watching us. Well done, Kai, Sky says as we reach the top of the cliff. If you don't want to abseil down, you can come up here with me and walk down the side of the hill. Kai hesitates, then looks down. I cringe, thinking it was the worst thing she could do. There's no way she'll want to rappel back down now she's seen how high we are. I want to try abseiling. All right then. Good on you, Kai, Sky says. You can lower, Kai calls down, grinning at me. Yeah, Kaylin yells. Lowering. Ready? I ask. As I'll ever be, Kai nods. We watch each other as we lean backwards and slowly take our first tentative steps down the cliff. We pick up speed as we go. Then as we near the bottom, I push off with my legs, landing lightly back on the rock face and spring off with my feet one more time before finally landing on the ground. Kai lands just after me. Kai is engulfed in a swarm of hugs as everyone gathers around to congratulate her. When I finally glimpse her face, she's beaming, cheeks flushed from the excitement and from laughing. I grin at her over their heads, and she waves to me and mouths, "Thank you." I look down, returning to my struggle to remove the rope from my harness.
Here, let me give you a hand. They can be tricky sometimes.
Ethan appears beside me. He reaches for the harness, his hands gently brushing mine as I try to move them out of his way. He bends his head to get a closer look at the problem, and his breath is hot on my arms. Goosebumps spring uninvited as a shiver runs up my spine.
You did really well up there, Jess.
He lifts his head to look at me. Thanks. I didn't expect to enjoy climbing as much as that.
No, I mean with Kai.
He finishes untying the knot and stands back to look at me.
That was impressive, the way you managed to calm Kai and help her.
I let out a small, uncomfortable laugh. I'm sure anyone would have done the same. I just happened to be in the right place to help.
Nope, not everyone.
Ethan's eyebrows lift as he shakes his head.
We see this sort of thing all the time. Someone slips when they're climbing and they freak out. But I've never seen another student help like you did. It's always been up to one of the guides to get them down.
I feel heat beginning to build in my cheeks. Oh.
That was real leadership you showed up there. Take the compliment, Jess. You deserve it.
He gives me a smile, then turns to help Dean take over belaying for Jackson. I'm still not sure I deserve his praise, but warmth spreads through me as I absorb his words anyway. I get the feeling he doesn't give compliments lightly, and I shouldn't underestimate the significance of this. But whether I believe I deserve the compliment or not, the fact that he said it makes me realize I've misjudged him. Maybe I'm the arrogant one. I turn to see that it's now Kaylin and Jackson's turn to climb. I begin watching Jackson, but soon find my attention, along with everyone else, taken by Kaylin. He almost leaps up the rock face, barely stopping to look for handholds, his fingers seeming to find purchase in the smallest of cracks. "Oh my God, it's Spider-Man," Oliver says in awe. And then Kaylin reaches the top and calls down that he's lowering. We gasp as we watch Kaylin swivel around until he's facing us. He grins and begins to walk forwards down the cliff face. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. "Jesus!" Oliver exclaims. "Thought you said he was Spider-Man," I laugh. We start cheering and he's loving it, completely lapping it up. He receives a celebrity welcome as everyone gathers around, wanting to know how he's so good. It turns out that he's been rock climbing since he was 4 years old and works at his local climbing gym. We continue to take turns belaying and climbing, and it isn't long before competitiveness rears its head and Kaylin challenges Matt to a race. This is Matt's 4th climb, and he's been getting quicker each time. He doesn't fly up the wall the same way Kaylin does, but he's fast and strong and feeling brave, taking risks as he pushes himself to move faster and reach for small ledges invisible to us below. Kaylin pauses for a breather when he reaches the top and watches Matt climb for a few seconds before slowly turning, getting ready to rappel facing forwards. But Matt doesn't hesitate when he reaches the top, immediately calling out that he's ready to be lowered, then runs as fast as he can down the slope, his face full of determination. It's almost frightening to watch. Kaylin glances over his shoulder when he hears our cheers getting louder. Realizing Matt is closing in on him, he picks up speed. He makes it to the ground only seconds before Matt does, both of them panting with the exertion. I wait until everyone is finished congratulating them and head over to Matt with his water bottle. Wow, Matt, that was amazing. You may not be Spider-Man, but that was truly heroic. He smiles and flops his exhausted arm around my shoulder, using me as a crutch to lean on.
Are you saying I'm your hero?
Sure, Maddie, you're my hero. Just don't go wearing your underpants over top of your trousers, though, okay? We're on such a high as we return to the lodge. That feeling of invincibility that comes after achieving something you'd thought impossible. Adrenaline making us loud and revitalizing our tired bodies with renewed energy. All of us roughhousing as we walk across the clearing, chasing, pushing, lifting, carrying, as though we need to connect physically to make our bonds more tangible, permanent. Priya darts past me, squirting me with water from her drink bottle. I drop the rope I'm carrying and run after her, chasing her across the meadow until I catch her and spray her with the contents of mine. She falls to the ground giggling, then points behind me. I turn to see Oliver trying to tackle Jackson unsuccessfully to the ground, and then Kai jumping on Jackson's back. Jackson continues to stumble along the grass, dragging both of them with him, and it's only when Oliver manages to wrap his legs around both of Jackson's that they topple him to the ground. We're still laughing when I notice Dean creeping up behind Matt. He looks over at us and holds his finger to his lips and winks. I cringe as Dean lunges toward him, knowing Matt doesn't stand a chance against Dean's huge frame. But my mouth drops open when Matt suddenly crouches and swivels, as though he's expecting Dean's attack, and flings Dean over his shoulder onto the ground in front of him. Dean lies winded, flat on his back, looking up at Matt in complete shock. "What the? How the hell did you do that?" Dean sputters as Matt helps him to his feet.
For one thing, you walk like a pregnant elephant, Matt laughs. Plus, I noticed Jess and Priya watching someone behind me, so it wasn't too hard to guess what was about to happen.
No, I mean, how did you throw me like that?
Oh, that would be 12 years of jujitsu. From now on, I'm walking in front of you just to be safe. Dean rubs his lower back. There's no way I'm risking you ever doing that to me again.
Well, get a move on then, 'cause I'm starving and it looks like everyone else is already inside, Matt says, turning Dean to face the lodge and giving him a playful kick on his backside. Chapter 10. We end the day lounging around the fireplace after dinner, talking for hours as we drink hot chocolate and toast marshmallows on the open fire in a kind of sugar-fueled celebration. After 2 cups of hot chocolate, I head outside to use the toilet, grabbing my jacket from the back of the chair as I leave. My breath billows in the light of my headlamp as I walk, and I look up briefly, arcing the beam above me into the darkness. The star-speckled sky is clear of cloud, and I notice a bright glow coming from somewhere out of view beyond the trees. I shiver as my body adjusts to the change in temperature and scan the toilet cubicle with my torch to make sure there aren't any creatures lying in wait. I wonder if everyone feels like this, an innate fear of the dark that stops us from wandering off in the night to fall off a cliff or something. I quickly wash my hands, keen to get back inside to the security of the light and the company of others. As I round the corner of the lodge, I see a shadowy figure step away from the building. Hello?
Hey, it's just me, Ethan. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you.
Oh, hi, Ethan. That's okay. I just wasn't expecting to see anyone out here.
Felt like I needed some fresh air. It was getting a bit stuffy in there.
You've certainly come to the right place for that. I rub my hands together, trying to warm them. It's the anti-stuffy out here. He doesn't say anything, and it feels awkward. Maybe I should just head back inside and leave him alone.
Hey, do you want to see something?
He says, shoving his hands in his pockets. Sure, what is it?
How about we keep it a surprise until we get there?
He smiles.
I think it's something you're gonna like. It's not far, just over the bridge toward the hot pools.
Following a guy you hardly know into the dark on your own probably isn't the smartest move.
I just realized how dodgy that sounded.
Ethan laughs.
I could see if some of the others want to come too if you like. We'd have to be quick though. It'll be gone in a few minutes.
Come on, Jess. Don't you think you've misjudged him enough already? I'm not worried. I shrug as though the thought hadn't crossed my mind. Let's go. I don't want to risk missing this surprise of yours. And besides, you'd be taking your life into your hands if you did try anything dodgy. I've got a black belt in yoga, you know.
Yoga? Ethan gives a small chuckle. Good to know. I'll be sure to remember that when I'm fighting the urge to be dodgy then.
I have to jog to keep up with Ethan's long strides as we cross the clearing to the bridge. We follow the path for only a minute. Then Ethan pauses, shining his torch off to the side, looking for something.
Here we go. It's this way.
Once we're away from the solar-lit track, we only have our head torches to light the way. There doesn't appear to be a path, but Ethan looks like he knows where he's going.
It's not much further. Just up here.
I lift my head, shining my torch in the direction he's pointing, and make out a rocky slope rising in front of us. He climbs a couple of steps, then waits for me to climb up behind him.
Take my hand. It's easy to lose your balance in the dark.
I reach up and take his outstretched hand, still holding onto the rock with my other as he helps me step up to join him. We repeat this several more times, but when we reach the top, he doesn't let go.
Be careful where you step up here. I'd get in a whole lot of trouble if you fell off.
Still holding my hand, we move away from the edge. Then Ethan reaches up to my headlamp and turns it off. What are you doing? I ask as he turns off his own. He doesn't reply, instead taking hold of both my shoulders. I look up at him but can't see his face clearly, my eyes still adjusting to the dark. What is he doing? Oh my God, is he going to kiss me? My heart thumps so loudly I'm sure he can hear it. I hesitate, waiting for him to do something. Then, slowly, he turns me away from him, and my confusion is instantly replaced with awe. We're standing above the tree canopy, our view extending over the tops of the trees to see the mountain range in the distance. And just above the mountains is the most enormous full moon I've ever seen. The moon looks so close, it appears to be resting on top of one of the peaks. It is absolutely magnificent. Wow, I exhale. Ethan's hands drop from my shoulders, but he doesn't move away. Standing so close, I can still feel his arm pressed against mine.
So, I was right then. You do like it.
That would be quite the understatement. I've never seen the moon so big before. Why does it look so big tonight? I mean, I know it hasn't changed size or anything, but why does it look so big up here?
I looked it up once. When it's close to the horizon, it looks bigger because we compare it to things in front of it that we usually consider large, like those mountains, he explains. It's just our imperfect brains trying to make sense of things and getting a bit confused. My imperfect brain tends to do that a lot, I chuckle. It's setting, you know, Ethan says.
What is? The moon?
Yeah, it's gonna drop behind those peaks soon. It won't take long if you want to watch.
He doesn't wait for my answer and sits on the ground, so I drop beside him. I rub my hands together and blow into them to try and warm them, grateful that I have my jacket on, but wishing I had my gloves.
Are you cold?
I'm okay, I lie. Ethan shuffles closer and takes my hands in his. They feel warm in comparison.
You are cold. Your hands are freezing.
They're always cold. It doesn't matter what temperature it is. My feet are the same. Do you want to hold them too? He laughs, but doesn't let go of my hands, and I realize I don't want him to. I keep my gaze focused straight ahead and watch the moon as it sinks below the distant mountain peaks. I wish it would slow down, to take longer. I don't want this moment to end yet, but all too quickly, it's gone, leaving an afterglow of light hovering above the horizon and the surrounding landscape suddenly very dark. I've never watched a moon set before. That was amazing.
Show's not over yet,
he says, looking above us. I follow his gaze and look up. Oh my God, I whisper. With the absence of the moon, the blackened sky is now ablaze with the dense band of the Milky Way. I've never seen so many stars before, and the longer I look, more and more seem to appear. I let go of Ethan's hands and lie back to take in more of the sky. I've only ever seen the Milky Way like this in pictures. This is incredible. I'm mesmerized. A sense of calm spreads through me as I try to take it all in, lifting a weight I hadn't even been aware of. I breathe deeply, wanting to absorb everything I see, to sear this image on my brain. I never want to forget this. My dad says looking at the stars is the closest thing we have to time travel, I say as Ethan lies back beside me.
What do you mean?
Well, because the stars are so far away, by the time their light gets here, we're basically seeing how they appeared hundreds or even thousands of years ago, I explain. Some of these stars might not even exist anymore.
I like that.
I can hear the smile in his voice.
I hadn't thought of it like that before.
Thanks for bringing me up here. You were right that I'd like it. Would you have come up here on your own if you hadn't bumped into me? There's a long pause before he replies.
I hadn't planned on coming up here alone. I just hoped you'd want to come with me, actually.
It's lucky we bumped into each other then. Ethan starts to laugh, and I wonder why. And then it dawns on me. Oh, you were waiting for me? He doesn't answer, which I take to be an answer in itself. So, what did I do to deserve this honor? I say, sitting up.
Like I said, I felt like I needed some fresh air. And when I saw you leave, I thought maybe it'd be something you'd like to see too.
Okay, I say, feeling a bit disappointed for some reason.
And, he continues, I thought it might be cool to hang out with you a bit.
And there it was. It hadn't just been random chance. He had wanted to spend time with me. Can I ask you something weird? I ask.
I guess so.
Can you guys hear much of what people are saying in the lodge from the bunk room? He lets out a surprised bark of laughter, as though it wasn't what he was expecting me to ask.
Yeah, we can pretty much hear everything.
So you could hear Dean when we were making breakfast this morning? I try to be vague in the hope that maybe he hadn't heard.
Yeah, we heard.
That must have been a bit awkward. I laugh uncomfortably.
Kind of. Sky gave me a bit of shit about it, but Sky's always giving me crap about something. One of the perks of working with your sister.
Oh, I hadn't realized Sky's your sister. What did she say?
You know, he says vaguely.
No, I don't.
Basically, she said that I need to stop encouraging schoolgirl crushes and remember that it's my job to keep you guys safe up here.
Ouch. They think I have a crush on him? That's so embarrassing. Hang on. So even after Sky said that, you decided to go ahead and bring me up here?
I figured it would be okay because you obviously don't have a crush on me, so it's only me I have to worry about. I mean, that didn't come out right.
He laughs. Let me get this straight, I say, turning to face him sitting cross-legged on the ground. You figured it would be okay for us to hang out because I don't have a crush on you, so you're safe from me throwing myself at you and making everything awkward. Is that about right?
Pretty much, he smiles.
I feel so relieved that he doesn't think I have a crush on him that I suddenly feel like having a bit of fun with it. I lean forward and place my hands on his legs and look intently into his eyes. So, if I was to kiss you right now, I smile in what I hope is a seductive way. That wouldn't be a good thing? He holds my gaze for a moment, not moving, then takes a deep breath.
Don't mess around, Jess.
He takes my hands from his knees and places them back on my own legs.
You don't want to do that.
He shakes his head slightly, his smile disappearing. I'm not sure what reaction I wanted, but this wasn't it. Sorry. I was just teasing.
Yeah, I know.
He gives me a reassuring smile.
Don't worry about it. Just don't play games, okay?
He stands and pulls me to my feet.
Come on, we better get back. Someone will notice we're missing soon.
We turn on our head torches and begin descending the rocky slope, Ethan holding my hand to help guide me. When we reach the bottom, he leads us through the dark until we get back onto the path. As we approach the bridge, he pauses.
Thanks for your company tonight, Jess. It was nice to get to know you better.
Before I can stop myself, I spring up on my toes and give him a peck on the cheek. It was nice to get to know you too. I quickly pull away. I hope that wasn't against the rules.
I'm pretty sure that's fine,
he chuckles. When we arrive at the lodge, Ethan hesitates, and I realize he's worried about how it will look if we go back in together. I think I might just head to bed, I say. It's been a long day.
Good idea. I'm gonna do the same. Well, good night then.
Good night, I say, and head to my tent. I open the zip and climb inside, and jump as I hear, "And where have you been?" Jesus, Priya, you gave me a fright. You're in bed early. Not really. It's after 11. Is it? I had no idea it was so late. So, she prompts. I went to see the moon setting, actually. I say it as casually as I can, but no, there's no way that could sound casual. By yourself? She asks suspiciously. Because I noticed another member of our group was missing tonight as well. A particularly sexy, outdoorsy kind of fellow, goes by the name of Ethan. I think you might know of him. She bursts out laughing. Shh, keep your voice down. I don't want the whole campsite hearing. So, you weren't alone then, she giggles. Come on, tell me. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like what? She laughs again, clearly enjoying making me squirm. I didn't say it was like anything. So, why don't you tell me what it was not like then? Stop it. You know what I mean. There's nothing to tell. I bumped into Ethan outside, and he asked me if I'd like to see the moon setting, and I said yes. So he took me to a place where we could see it, and then we looked at the stars for a while. Then we came back. Nothing happened. Let me get this right. Ethan asked you if you'd like to go to an isolated spot away from everyone else in the middle of the night, just the two of you, so you could gaze and wonder at the heavens together, and nothing happened. Yeah, but you're saying it funny to make it sound weird. Nope. I pretty much repeated what you said to me. So, if it sounds unbelievable that you went to watch the moon and stars together with a complete hottie, all on your own, and nothing happened, then it's because it is unbelievable. Honestly, Priya, nothing happened. We just hung out together. I pause, concerned that she's going to tell the others about this. You know, Ethan could get in a lot of trouble if anyone thinks something happened between us. Do you think anyone else noticed we were gone? You don't need to worry. I covered for you. When you didn't come back after a while and I noticed Ethan was gone too, I told anyone who asked that you'd gone to bed early because you weren't feeling well. Thanks, Priya. I really wouldn't want Ethan to get into trouble. Even though nothing happened.
Oh, Jess.
Priya deepens her voice, imitating Ethan.
Look at the big, bright moon.
Oh, Ethan, she continues in a high-pitched voice. Look at the pretty stars. Then she howls with laughter. Oh yeah, you're hilarious. I groan as I climb into my sleeping bag. Go to sleep. Chapter 11. Straight after breakfast, we're loaded up with harnesses and helmets and told that today's activity is an extension of yesterday's, but with a twist. We're going canyoning above a waterfall called Fortune Falls at the head of the river. It's another beautiful morning, blue cloudless skies promising to burn off the mountain chill, but for now, we're under the cool cover of the dense forest canopy. Priya and I chat as we walk, lagging behind at the back of the group as we continue up the valley past the swimming hole. She hasn't mentioned anything more about Ethan, and I'm grateful. Not only because I didn't want anyone to overhear, but also because it felt like he was avoiding me today. He had barely acknowledged my presence, other than to reply to my morning when I first entered the lodge. Either I'd gone too far last night and made things awkward, or I was reading too much into it, which means Priya was also reading too much into it. And either way, I just wanted to forget about it so things could go back to normal. Well, 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 look who we have here, Priya says quietly under her breath. I look up and see Ethan crouched, doing up his bootlaces further along the track. Looks like he probably needs some help, don't you think? Priya nudges me. I'll catch you later. She takes off at a run, leaving me to walk the rest of the way toward Ethan on my own. Hardly subtle.
What's she in a hurry for?
Ethan asks as I stop beside him. She wanted to catch up with Dean, I think. He nods as if it is the obvious reason, then stands, and we continue to walk along the trail together. This week's gone so fast. I can't believe the camp's nearly over. I glance at him. Are you staying here for the next group after we leave?
Nope, I finish up after this one. I need to get organized to start back at uni.
Are you looking forward to it?
Looking forward to finishing this camp or starting at uni?
I meant uni, but both, I guess.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing my friends and getting back into my study, actually.
And finishing this camp? You're probably looking forward to getting away from us, I suppose.
Not at all.
He looks surprised.
Why would you say that?
I just figured you'd probably prefer to be hanging out with your university friends than having to look after a bunch of high school kids.
You're not such a bad bunch, he laughs. If we were all at Ashley together, I reckon we'd get on pretty well. Be friends even. I'm not much older than you guys, you know.
It must be that air of authority that makes you seem wiser than your years. So you're not 80 then?
I look that wise, do I?
Did I say wise? I meant wizened. I grin at him. Our conversation cuts short as we catch up with the rest of the group. A few seconds later, the trees open to reveal a cliff with a narrow waterfall cascading down its left side, feeding into a large pool of water at its base. A misty rainbow billows from the waterfall, drenching everything in the surrounding area, including dozens of large boulders along the edge of the pool.
I'll catch you later,
Ethan says as he heads over to join Sky, who's getting ready to climb at the base of the cliff. I look above her and see small metal climbing bolts glinting in the light, drilled into the cliff's yellow and orange face-like piercings. Above us is the start of Fortune Falls Canyon, Emily calls out over the rumble of the waterfall. Once we climb to the top of the waterfall, we're gonna make our way up the narrow canyon behind it. You're gonna love this. The canyon is unlike anything you've seen around here. Sky's gonna climb first and get everything roped up. Then we'll head up one at a time. So, take a look around. We're gonna be here a while. I watch as Sky begins her climb. She takes her time, not taking any risks. But I can tell that she's done this many times before. A few minutes after she reaches the top, she throws down the rope, now secured to bolts above us. Kaylin, do you want to go first? Emily asks.
Absolutely.
Kaylin heads over to Ethan to get set up. I notice Holly and Priya have climbed from the bank onto the boulders, and I make my way over to them. We scramble to the edge of the pool, and it isn't as deep as I expected, but there's a watermark on the rocks indicating it gets much higher when it rains. We climb onto the enormous boulders and begin to jump from one to the next, leaping over smaller rocks and crevices in between. We make our way along the side of the pool toward the cliff. Holly is ahead of me, and she jumps to the largest of the boulders, one with a greenish tinge close to the waterfall. She lands on the smooth surface and slips, and her arms windmill. Whoa! She yells, as if trying to calm a skittish horse, then looks back at us with a grin. That was a close one. Thought I was gonna... Her words cut off as her feet slip again, and she begins to wildly wave her arms trying to stop herself from falling. I begin to laugh, thinking she's hamming it up, but this time her skittish feet don't settle, and I watch in horror as she tips back. Priya gasps behind me, and I pointlessly yell out, Holly! Warning of the danger she's clearly aware of. In a final attempt to stop herself from falling backwards, Holly swivels, turning sideways, and lets out a panicked scream as she tumbles off the boulder out of sight. Her scream draws the attention of everyone on the bank, and from the corner of my eye, I see Kalen look down from midway up the rock face.
"Holly, are you okay?"
He yells. His question is answered as Holly screams, an agonizing cry that makes my stomach churn.
"We're coming, Holly!"
I yell. Priya and I carefully jump to the next boulder, and I can now see the one that Holly fell from is slick with spray from the waterfall, covered in a layer of green moss. I lower myself between the rocks and make my way around the side of the one Holly slipped from, not wanting to risk the same fate. When I reach the other side of the boulder, I'm surprised not to find her there. I follow her cries and continue to squirm my way around the next one, which is where I finally find her, lying on her side, the force of the fall having flung her off the boulder behind as well. She holds her leg, head thrown back in agony. I clamber onto the slippery boulder next to her, the spray from the waterfall soaking everything, including us. Priya is right behind me.
"My leg. I felt it snap,"
she whimpers. Oh shit. Hang on, Holly. I raise my head and yell,
"We need help!"
and see that Ethan and Emily are already making their way toward us.
"Holly's leg is broken."
Emily pauses and looks at Sky, who is standing at the top of the waterfall.
"Sky, you need to come down. We need you."
As soon as Ethan and Emily reach us, I move out of the way to give them room while they talk to Holly and assess her injuries. Is there anywhere else that hurts, Holly? Did you hit your head? Emily asks.
"No, it's just my leg,"
Holly cries through gritted teeth. We need to move her to the bank so Sky can treat her. Do you think you can carry her, Ethan?
"Let's get Dean to help," Priya says. "It might be easier if there's two of you."
Yeah, that's a good idea. Emily stands. Dean, can you give us a hand? Dean immediately starts hopping over the boulders toward us. As soon as he reaches us, Ethan and Dean begin talking about how they're going to carry Holly. They rule out trying to carry her over the boulders and decide to make their way around them, taking turns to pass her between them in a kind of leapfrog relay. Ethan moves beside Holly and leans his face close to hers. You're going to be okay, Holly, but we need to get you to the bank so Sky can fix up your leg. This is gonna hurt. I'm really sorry. Holly nods, her eyes wide from shock and pain. Ethan gently places his hand under her legs and scoops her from the rock. She screams as soon as he moves her, but he doesn't hesitate, knowing it would just prolong the pain. He turns and passes her to Dean, who can only take a step before he can't go any further. Ethan dashes around to the other side of the next boulder and leans forward with his arms out to take Holly from Dean, propping his leg on the boulder to help support her weight. Holly cries out again as she's transferred into Ethan's arms. Ethan talks to her, telling her she's going to be fine the whole time as Dean makes his way to the next boulder and leans into the gap so Ethan can pass Holly back to him. They repeat this until they exit the last of the boulders, and Ethan carries Holly the rest of the way across the rubble onto the bank. Holly clamps her hand to her mouth, attempting to stifle her scream as Ethan lowers her to the ground, and Sky runs over with a first aid kit in her hand. I need to take a look at your leg, Holly, she says calmly. I'm going to cut open your trousers so I don't have to move it. Sky cuts the side of the pant leg up to the middle of her thigh and separates the cloth to reveal Holly's leg. Holly looks down and sees the bone pushing up underneath the skin and begins to scream again. I know it hurts, Holly, and I'm going to give you something to help with that, but it's at the lodge. Sky looks at Ethan. I need the large first aid kit and the stretcher. We're going to have to carry her to the lodge. There's no way we can get a chopper in here. I need 3 people to come with me. Ethan turns to face the rest of us gathered behind. Matt, Kaylin, and I offer to go with him. Ethan leads the way as we run back along the track to the lodge, covering the distance that had taken us almost an hour this morning in only 20 minutes. Ethan dashes into the storeroom and comes out carrying a first aid kit and a stretcher. He hands the first aid kit to me, then passes the stretcher to the boys. You need to get these to Sky. I'm gonna call for a rescue helicopter to pick Holly up from here. I shove the first aid kit into an empty backpack and throw it over my shoulder as I run out the door to catch up with Matt and Kaylin. We run the entire way back, the urgency of the situation spurring us on. I drop to my knees beside Sky as soon as I reach them and hand her the first aid kit from the pack. I'm going to give you some morphine to help with the pain, Holly, she says calmly to her. I don't think Holly can really hear what Sky is saying, but Sky keeps talking to her the whole time. Holly doesn't react at all when Skye injects her leg with a syringe. She's already in too much pain to feel anything else. "Ethan's radioing for a helicopter," I say when I finally catch my breath. "Good," she nods, then looks up at Matt and Kaylin. "I'm gonna need your help to get Holly on the stretcher." They move into position on either side of her. "Ready? Lift." Holly screams as they lift her, then lower her gently onto the stretcher. I take Holly's hand, tears streaming down her face as she grips it tightly. I fight back tears of my own, stroking her hand, unsure how to help. "Right, we're gonna do this in teams, 6 at a time," Skye commands, tucking an emergency blanket around Holly. "I need 2 in the front and 2 in the back and 1 on each side in the middle. We need to keep the stretcher as level as possible, so I want the strongest people in the front to lift it higher as we head down the gorge. When you get tired, call out and we'll swap to the other team." Dean and Jackson go to the front of the stretcher, and Marley and Oliver move to the back. I let go of Holly's hand and grip the stretcher on one side as Skye takes the other. "On 3, Skye calls out. 1, 2, 3. Holly winces as we lift the stretcher, but doesn't scream this time. I reach over and squeeze her hand. She squeezes back, closing her eyes. We have to walk slowly to make sure we don't lose our footing while trying to keep the stretcher as level as possible. After a few minutes, Holly no longer cries out. The morphine has taken effect, and she drifts in and out of consciousness as we continue as fast as we can along the track, changing carriers whenever someone calls for a break. We've just swapped carriers again, and I'm following at the back when Ethan appears on the track ahead. Skye asks Priya to take her place, then lets the rest of us past, hanging back with Emily to talk to Ethan. "What do you mean you couldn't get hold of them? Is there something wrong with the radio?" Skye asks. "No, I mean no one was responding. I tried for over half an hour," Ethan replies. "That doesn't make sense," Emily says. "Even if they were already out on a rescue, Beth would still be there to coordinate. There's always someone monitoring the channel." "When I couldn't get hold of search and rescue, I tried contacting base to see if they could help get in touch with them, but I couldn't get any response there either." "And you're sure the radio was working properly?" Skye asks. "I'm sure." "Maybe I should run ahead and try again?" Emily says, "just in case." "Yeah, okay," Ethan replies. "Maybe you should, but I'm positive it's nothing to do with the radio." "Okay, go," Skye says. "But Emily, if you can't get hold of them on the radio, activate the emergency locator beacon, okay?" Emily nods and takes off, overtaking the rest of us as she runs ahead down the path. "If we can't get a helicopter, we're going to have to take her out ourselves," Skye says to Ethan. "I'm worried there might be internal bleeding where the femur has broken. We can't risk waiting. We need to get her to a hospital as soon as possible. We'll have to move fast. We don't want to be driving that track in the dark." "If we can get to the Jeep by mid-afternoon, we should have enough light to get us to the main road," Skye replies. "It won't matter if it's dark then." We continue our slow plod, swapping carriers 2 more times before we reach the lodge. Emily runs across the clearing to meet us, shaking her head at Skye and Ethan as she approaches. "Ethan's right. It's not the radio. No one is responding. I have no idea what's going on. I've activated the emergency beacon. Just put the stretcher down here," Skye calls out. "Everyone take a break, get a drink, have something quick to eat, and grab your jackets, hats, and torches. We leave in 10 minutes. "What about the helicopter?" Dean asks. "We've activated an emergency locator beacon, so the helicopter should be here soon. But we haven't been able to get in touch with search and rescue, so there's the possibility that the helicopter's already in use," Skye answers. "We're going to plan to transport Holly to the hospital ourselves, just in case there's a delay, though. We'll take the beacon with us, and they'll get to us as soon as they can." I grab my jacket and torch from the tent, then head into the lodge to see if Emily needs help. I find her in the storeroom, filling backpacks with food and spare sleeping bags. She hands me one of the packs, and I add my things to it. Marley is rummaging through papers on the table by the window when I leave the storeroom. "Here it is," he says, lifting a piece of paper, then glances over at me when he realizes I'm staring. "Holly's emergency contact details," he explains. He then scans the page. "At least that's some good news. Looks like she's a local, from a town here in Langadorn. We can get her parents to meet us at the hospital. Come on, we better join the others," he says, heading to the door. I look at Holly lying on the stretcher, covered by the emergency blanket. The morphine is managing her pain, allowing her to sleep, but her face looks unusually pale. It isn't long before everyone's gathered outside the lodge, belongings put into shared backpacks. Sky calls to get everyone's attention. "We've still got a long way to go today, and we're going to need everyone's help to get there. We do this just as we did before, taking turns to carry Holly. If you're not carrying the stretcher, you're carrying a backpack. We'll swap every 15 minutes to keep our pace up. You need to make sure you stay hydrated and eat to maintain your energy as we go. Jess and Emily are carrying food supplies for everyone. Team 1, take your places. 1, 2, 3, lift." Holly stirs as they lift the stretcher, but appears to fall back to sleep when they start walking. We keep up a good pace, only slowing where the track narrows, swapping carriers regularly to keep us fresh. We keep this up until we finally reach the clearing near the swing bridge. Holly has begun to stir from her sleep, groaning as the morphine wears off. Sky stops us and checks Holly's vital signs, then gives her another shot of morphine. I look from Sky to Emily and then to Ethan, wondering what they're thinking. I resist the urge to ask them why the helicopter hasn't arrived yet, knowing they don't know the answer either. Surely it wouldn't usually take this long, though. It's been hours since Emily activated the emergency locator beacon. Even if the helicopter had already been busy on another rescue, it should have been here by now, shouldn't it? When we reach the narrow swing bridge, Sky stops and asks Dean and Ethan to take over carrying the stretcher on their own. Sky backs onto the bridge ahead of Ethan, steering him by his shoulders as he inches backwards onto it. Dean follows with Emily, firmly gripping his shoulders from behind, helping to steady him from its sway. They step cautiously, giving the bridge time to settle as they cross. I hold my breath, afraid they might lose their balance. There's no risk of Holly falling off the bridge, but there's definitely a risk they could lose their balance while unable to hold onto the railing and tip her from the stretcher. Several long exhales join with mine when the stretcher safely reaches the other side. We quickly file across the bridge and take over from Ethan and Dean to carry Holly the remaining distance to the Jeep, which we find still parked on the side of the road where we left it last week. Sky and Emily set to work making a bed on the back seat of the Jeep using the sleeping bags we'd carried with us. Holly groans as they lift her onto the makeshift bed, panting as she lays back, her face beading with perspiration. Sky straps Holly in place using the seatbelts, then packs more sleeping bags around her to try and make her more comfortable. Holly's eyes close again when Sky finishes. I can't bear to think how horrible the journey on this bumpy road is going to be for Holly, when even the slightest movement hurts her. But the morphine seems to be helping for now, so they just need to get through the worst of it while her pain relief is working. Sky joins the rest of the team leaders at the side of the Jeep, and Marley hands Sky the sheet of paper with Holly's emergency contact details. After a brief conversation, Ethan climbs into the driver's seat. Sky turns to Emily and wraps her arms around her. As she lets go, Emily takes Sky's face between her hands and tells her she loves her. Sky smiles a rare smile, replying that she loves her too, and then kisses her goodbye. The engine starts, and Sky jumps into the back of the Jeep with Holly, and then, without giving anyone the chance to say goodbye, Ethan begins to drive down the road. I feel empty as I watch them drive away. The adrenaline that has kept me going since the accident drains from my body, and I'm left feeling utterly exhausted. I start to shake, and I'm not sure if I'm going to cry or be sick. "Okay, everyone," Emily calls out. "This has been an exhausting day, both physically and mentally, and I know you're all feeling tired and probably emotional too. But we aren't finished yet. We still have a long trek back to the lodge before we can rest, and our biggest risk at this point is that exhaustion can lead us to make mistakes and have an accident. And I think we'd all agree that's the last thing we need right now. I want you all to eat something to replenish your energy, even if you're not feeling hungry." I open my pack and start handing out protein bars, nuts, and chocolate to everyone, then flop on the ground next to Matt. I nibble at my protein bar, forcing myself to eat, and return Matt's smile when he offers me some of his chocolate. Everyone looks as tired as I feel. We barely talk, the stress and worry of Holly's accident beginning to hit home now that we're no longer distracted by the urgency to keep going. Dean has his arm around Priya as she rests her head against his chest. a tear streaking her face as she blinks blankly at the ground beside them. She looks exactly how I feel. Exhausted, worried, sad. And we still have another 4 hours walk ahead of us. "We need to get going," Emily says. "We want to make as much progress as possible while it's still light. Look out for each other. Once the sun goes down, it'll get cold and we need to be watching for early signs of hypothermia. Remember what to look for: extreme tiredness, stumbling, confusion. If you notice anything, bring it to my attention immediately." She puts on her pack and tightens the waist belt. "I'll take the lead. Marley will bring up the rear. Let's get going." We walk for nearly 2 hours, taking a break as the sun goes down to put on warmer clothing and get our headlamps out. We have some more food, resting for only a few minutes before Emily gets us moving again. Our pace slows in the dark, the light from our torches casting so many shadows, it's hard to tell whether a shadow is a raised tree root or a dip in the ground. I find myself stepping higher than necessary just to be sure I don't trip, and it often feels foolish to do so. We walk in silence. It uses all our energy. There's nothing left for talking. We finally arrive at the campsite and pile into the lodge, collapsing into the seats. Emily lights the fire and boils water to make hot chocolate. I'm amazed that she still has the energy to do it. The rest of us lie everywhere, on the seats, on the floor, desperate to rest our aching legs, backs, shoulders, necks, heads. Everything aches. Emily and Marley start handing out hot drinks and pieces of chocolate, telling us that the sugar will help, and it does. And although I really just want to go to sleep on the floor where I am, I force myself to stand and help Matt when he offers to take over from them, telling them they need to sit down and have a drink too. We finish topping up everyone's cups, then flop warily onto the bench seat by the table. "You look knackered," Matt smiles at me. "Thanks." I manage a small chuckle. "So do you." "I don't think I've ever been this tired in my life," he sighs. "Me neither. I feel a bit weird, like my head is disconnected from my body. I don't know how to explain it." "I get what you mean." He puts his arm around my shoulder and pulls me closer. My head is so foggy, the tenderness of his gesture barely registers. I close my eyes and lean into him, giving in to exhaustion and letting my body relax. I don't know how long we're like that. I think I may have even fallen asleep. My eyes struggle to open as the sound of Marley's voice rouses me from somewhere across the room. "I think everyone should head to bed. There's no rush to get up in the morning. We won't be doing anything tomorrow except resting. You did a great job today, everyone. You should feel really proud of yourselves." Matt's arm slides around my waist, and I feel him begin to help me to my feet. I groan, not wanting to stand, and turn toward him, burying my face into his chest. I'm overwhelmed by the sudden need to be held together, and cling tightly to him. I take long, deep breaths as his arms wrap around me, understanding what I need. He doesn't speak, and he doesn't move. I feel his head rest on top of mine, and he waits until I'm ready. I slowly pull away and glance shyly up at him, wondering how he feels about my sudden attachment. If he's unsettled by it, he doesn't let on. His eyes tell me they understand as he smiles and gently ruffles my hair. Then he takes my hand and we follow the others outside to the tents. Chapter 12. I was sure I'd sleep like the dead, but it ended up being a restless night, disturbed by dreams of people falling and screaming and trying to run but not being able to move. I wake a few times and hear Priya making unhappy noises in her sleep too, our brains processing the stressful events of the previous day. After breakfast, we head to the hot pool to relax. We talk quietly, letting the warm water soothe our sore muscles, our mood subdued and reflective in the knowledge that this will be our last time here together. Tomorrow we'll be returning to the real world. Emily tries to contact the Falls River base camp to get an update on Holly throughout the day, but isn't able to get hold of anyone on the radio. At first, she tells us Ethan and Skye would have had a late night getting Holly to hospital and are probably catching up on sleep. But as her calls continue to go unanswered, I can see that it's bothering her. After lunch, we sit on the shaded deck, talking and swapping contact details so we can keep in touch after the camp ends. Dean still can't believe how easily Matt threw him to the ground the other day and asks if he can teach him how to do it. I follow and sit on the soft grass close by and watch Matt teaching Dean different techniques to throw an opponent and sweep them off their feet, explaining how to use their size and momentum to his advantage. Dean tries again and again to get Matt to the ground. Sometimes Matt lets him, but often he doesn't. "Would you like to have a try?" Dean asks when I begin to laugh at his latest effort. I raise my eyebrows at Matt. "Can I?" "Sure, if you want to." "Actually, I was wondering if you could show me something in particular. I want to know how to fight someone off if I'm grabbed from behind, like they teach in a self-defense class. Can you teach me how to do that?" "Yeah, there are a few things I can show you." When Dean agrees to help Matt demonstrate, the other girls come over and join in, and soon the rest of the boys gather around as well. Matt ends up giving us all a lesson on basic self-defense. He teaches us how to use our elbows to strike behind us, how to punch properly, and how to use our whole body to add power to our punches and kicks. We take turns pretending to attack each other and practicing the moves Matt has shown us. "Have you ever had to fight anyone?" I ask after our lesson is finished. "No, I've stopped a few fights though. But that's the whole point. I didn't take jujitsu classes to learn how to fight. I did it to learn how to defend myself. My parents thought it would be a good idea for me to learn, so they put me into classes as soon as I started school." "Why did they want you to learn so young?" "Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great idea that they did. I'm just wondering why." "They thought I might get picked on, I suppose." "Why would they think you'd get picked on?" "I guess they knew I was a bit different. Not many 5-year-olds read books about physics, let alone being able to read a book at all. And I refused to eat any meat. I wouldn't even eat chicken nuggets. What kid doesn't like chicken nuggets? That's reason enough, isn't it?" He laughs. "Some people don't like it when you're different. They're threatened by it. My parents wanted me to feel safe, to be myself." "Have you been picked on a lot?" "I guess I turned out to be less weird than they thought," he grins. "It probably also helped that I put the biggest guy in school on his ass on my first day at high school. So people knew to leave me alone after that. Occasionally, someone who's had a few too many concussions has another try, but it doesn't happen very often. So no, I haven't been picked on a lot. No more than anyone else." I feel relieved. I hate the thought that Matt might get bullied or picked on. I like that he's different and has the confidence to be himself. I feel drawn to it, to him. I felt drawn to him since the first moment we met, and I'm not exactly sure why. Well, I do know why. I have a rude man's shove and gravity to thank for that. But ever since then, I find myself constantly choosing to be near him. I like the way I feel when I'm with him, and it dawns on me what that feeling is. He makes me feel like it's okay to be me. Chapter 13. "Any luck?" Ollie asks Emily when she emerges from the lodge. "No, they must have already left to pick us up," she replies, "which means we need to get going so they don't have to wait for us at the other end." We make good time on the track, everyone much fitter now than when we arrived a week ago, reaching the pickup point in only 3.5 hours. The Jeeps haven't arrived, so we sit down to have some lunch while we wait. And we wait. And we wait. After a couple hours, we're getting pretty restless. There's no point in asking Emily when they're going to get here, but we do. And she replies that she's sure it won't be much longer. At 4 p.m., Emily decides we've waited long enough. "There must have been a problem with one of the vehicles. We'll camp in the clearing so we don't have to walk all the way back to the lodge. I'll leave a note just in case they show up after we leave so they know where to find us." She writes a message on a piece of paper torn from a notebook and places it under a rock near the entrance to the walking track, tying a strip of red trail marking string to it. We're not concerned that the Jeeps haven't shown up yet. On the contrary, we're actually happy that it means we get an extra night out here together. We walk the short distance to the clearing and pitch our tents. Emily sets up a fire pit while the rest of us collect wood. Once the fire is lit, we put everyone's food in a pile and Emily rations out portions to each of us, making sure there's still food left over for tomorrow. We sit around the campfire telling stories once it's dark, but it isn't long before we head to bed. Although we aren't expecting the jeeps until midday, we make our way to the meeting point late morning just in case they arrive early. Midday comes and goes. Then 1 p.m., then 2 p.m. By this point, we're finding it hard to hide our impatience, and there's growing concern about how late they are.
What if they don't come today too? Jackson asks. Are we just going to camp here again and keep waiting?
We don't have enough food to wait another day, though, do we? I ask. Emily nods as we speak. Look, I don't know what the delay is, and I don't have any way to get in touch with them from here. We'd need to go back to the lodge to use the radio to make contact, so if they're not here in the next half hour, I think we should probably do that rather than camp here again.
Is there anywhere with cell phone reception up here? Marley asks.
Emily pauses, considering Marley's question carefully, then turns to look back down the road. We might be able to get a signal if we can climb high enough, Emily says. I have an idea where we could try it. We need to go now, though. I don't want us walking back to the lodge in the dark. Can I come too? I ask. I'm not very good at waiting. I need to do something. Sure, Emily answers. I'll let the others know what we're planning to do and get them to wait for us at the campsite. Then we'll get going. As soon as she's finished, Emily, Marley, and I jog down the road, wasting no time to cross the shallow river at the bottom of the ravine before scrambling steeply uphill through the trees on the other side. Eventually, the forest thins, and we exit the tree line and cut across the mountainside. Can you see if you've got a signal? Emily asks. We stop, puffing hard as Marley checks his phone. Nothing. He shakes his head. Okay, I think our best bet is that point up there. She points at an outcrop ahead of us. If we don't get any signal there, we'll head back to the others. As we scramble along the side of the mountain, I realize we've reached the landslide where we stopped for lunch on our way up here last week and see the narrow road crossing below. We'll need to be careful as we cross the slip. The hillside will be less stable without vegetation. We often get rock falls on the road below here, Emily says. The hillside is covered in scree and rocks, the surface crumbling as we walk, sending small trickles and sometimes showers of stone below us. I realize we could easily start an avalanche of rock from up here and block the road if we aren't careful. Did you hear that? Marley asks. Hear what? I stop to listen. I think I can hear a motor. Maybe it's them. He's right. I can hear it now too. The definite sound of a vehicle somewhere out of sight. Oh, thank God, Emily exhales loudly. I was starting to get worried. Should we try to get down to the road? I ask. Yeah, we should, Emily replies. But not here. It's too unstable. Let's go back to the trees and climb back down there. We turn and start back the way we'd just come, angling down toward the tree line. Come on! Move faster! They're coming! I look around, confused. Who said that? Marley pauses, also scanning for the source of the voice. I follow his gaze toward the road just as 4 people sprint out of the forest. There's nowhere to hide! They're gonna find us! A woman yells. We should go back and hide in the trees. There's no time! They'll see us! Our only chance is to get to the forest on the other side, a man calls over his shoulder as he continues to run. I don't know what's going on, but I think we should get out of sight, Emily whispers. Keep going. We need to get to the trees. Just as we reach the safety of the tree line, a small truck appears on the road below, but it isn't one of our jeeps. It looks like a military vehicle. Just keep running, a man screams. We can make it! Without speaking a word, we instinctively crouch, hiding ourselves further amongst the foliage. Every muscle in my body tenses, my body preparing to run, even though it hasn't been given the command yet to do so. Their terror is enough to warn us we should be afraid too. Stop or you'll be shot! A voice booms from a loudspeaker as the vehicle approaches the people. The terrified people continue to sprint along the road toward the safety of the trees on the other side until a shot rings out. That was a warning! The next one won't be! Their running slows to a stop as they realize they can't outrun the vehicle and reluctantly turn to face their pursuers. Put your hands up and stay where you are, a man yells as he climbs out of the truck, followed by 3 more people climbing out the back doors. I'm surprised when I see they aren't wearing uniforms. They're wearing protective hazmat suits. What the hell is going on? Marley hisses. Shh, stay quiet. Emily whispers. I get the feeling something important is about to happen, so I take out my phone and start to video.
You are not allowed to leave the quarantine zone, a soldier calls out. Get into the back of the truck so we can take you to a quarantine center. We don't want to go there, a man replies. One sick person and everyone gets it. We know what happened at Southport. The quarantine centers are a death sentence. This is not a request. Get into the back of the truck, the soldier says, raising his gun at the people.
We don't have a choice, Martin. The woman looks back at the man, shaking her head. Just get in the truck. Slowly, she walks toward the truck with the others following. The soldiers back away as they get closer.
This one's sick, a soldier yells, waving his gun at the man closest to him. He's got red eyes. It's just allergies. The man shakes his head vigorously. I have hay fever, that's all. If he's infected, they're all infected, a soldier shouts.
We're not sick, the woman yells. We just want to be left alone. We know a place in the mountains where we can stay and keep safe away from everyone else. Please just let us go, she pleads, taking a step toward the soldier.
Stay back,
the soldier shouts at her. Suddenly, a man at the back of the group turns and starts to run away, followed by one of his friends. Without warning, shots fire and the men drop to the ground, unmoving. Emily inhales sharply beside me. You've killed them! The woman shrieks as she runs toward their bodies. Another shot fires, and she falls to the ground too.
What the hell, Jones? A soldier spins around. Put your gun down! I thought she was going to run for it.
The only member of the group left standing begins to scream and breaks into a run, charging at the soldier called Jones. Jones stumbles as he backs away and falls, scrambling to lift his gun before the man can reach him. A shot rings out, hitting the man mid-stride, and he slumps to the ground, groaning.
Is this the infected one? A soldier asks as he approaches. Yeah, he's the one with red eyes, Jones replies.
The soldier points his gun at the injured man.
I'm sorry, but it's better this way.
Then, he fires.
You were dead anyway.
How can this be happening? My hands shake uncontrollably, and I struggle to hold my phone still enough to keep videoing. Bile burns my throat, and I fight the urge to vomit as my stomach roils. I force myself to take a deep breath and exhale slowly, emptying my lungs before taking my next breath. Get it under control, Jess. If they hear us, we're dead.
This was a complete shit show.
The soldier shakes his head.
We couldn't let them run, Captain. We can't risk them getting out and spreading it. I'm well aware of our orders. Doesn't mean we couldn't have handled this better, though. Burn the bodies. We can't risk touching them.
Jesus, Marley says under his breath. I can't watch, and we can't leave. Too afraid to move in case they see us. A soldier dashes behind the truck and lifts his visor, vomiting at the side of the road. I swallow bile again and take another deep breath.
You okay?
The captain asks.
It's the smell. It makes me sick every time.
The soldier wipes his mouth with the back of his glove.
Yep, doesn't get much worse than that.
The captain pats the soldier on the back, then opens the truck door.
Captain, the soldier calls. Something doesn't make sense. Why were they heading into the hills if they'd set off an emergency locator beacon? Wouldn't they be going in the other direction if they were looking for help?
My body tenses at his words.
Yeah, that occurred to me too. They can't be the ones that set it off. We can't carry on any further now, though.
The captain waves his hand at the burning corpses.
We'll report back to headquarters and they can decide what we do next.
After what feels like an eternity, the soldiers climb back into the truck and slowly reverse down the road in the direction they'd come, leaving the smoldering bodies lying on the road. I stop recording and throw up.
What the hell?
Marley explodes as soon as the truck is out of sight.
This is insane. What the hell has been going on while we've been up here?
We need to get back to the others, Emily says. I don't know what's going on, but we need to get out of here just in case they come back. Let's keep high and stay off the road for now. She doesn't wait for our response and starts walking. Conversation over. None of us talk. My feet follow numbly as I trail behind Emily and Marley, my brain replaying the horror of what we've just seen over and over until it feels so overwhelming I'm not sure it was even real. We drop back down to the road just before the ford, then run the rest of the way to the entrance of the track. Emily picks up the note she'd left under the rock the previous day, then scans the area. "We don't want to leave anything that might alert someone to us being here," she explains. As she's about to enter the trees, she pauses and turns to look at us. "Let's not tell the others anything until we're back at the lodge. We need to get back there as fast as we can, and I don't think it'll help if everyone's worried and frightened. We'll tell them later." I nod. I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about it yet anyway. We reach the meadow to find everyone sitting around chatting, blissfully ignorant of what we'd just witnessed. "Okay, everyone, we need to get going so we can get to the lodge before dark," Emily announces.
"Did you get a signal?"
Matt asks. "No, we couldn't get one," I reply as I pick up my pack. "Make sure you have everything," Emily calls out. "Don't leave anything behind." Emily, Marley, and I wait for everyone to leave the clearing, then quickly destroy as much evidence of the fire from the previous night as we can. "Hopefully it won't be obvious anyone's been here recently," Emily says. "What about the trail markers?" I ask. "Should we get rid of those too?" "I guess it couldn't hurt. We could get rid of the cairns on the riverbank as well," she replies. "I think it's a good idea." When we reach the river, we hang back and wait until everyone has re-entered the trees before we go back to knock down the cairns. Just as we're finishing, I look up and see Matt standing at the track entry point, watching. I wave and he walks back toward us.
"I came back to make sure everyone's okay. Why are you knocking the cairns down?"
I look at Emily, unsure how to answer him. "You can tell him," Emily nods.
"Tell me what?"
Emily and Marley walk on ahead, leaving me to talk to Matt alone, to tell him what we'd seen.
"I don't understand. You're saying there's been some kind of virus outbreak and the army is shooting people if they try to leave?"
He shakes his head in disbelief. "I took a video on my phone. Maybe if you watch, it might help." I take out my phone and find the video, then hand it to Matt as it begins to play. Matt's brow furrows as he focuses intently on the images on the screen, jumping when the shots fire, his mouth dropping open. "I don't want to see any more." He hands the phone back when they start to burn the bodies. He stands, shaking his head.
"This is crazy. Even after seeing that video, I still find it hard to believe. How can that have happened?"
"I know. I don't know.
What the hell is going on out there?" He raises his voice. "We've only been here a week. How can this happen in a week? Maybe those guys were just psycho and on a rampage or something."
"I don't know," I say again. "But we don't want to take any risks in case someone else comes up here. That's why we're removing the trail markers."
"Why would anyone come up here? We're in the middle of nowhere."
"I don't know, but you heard those people tell the soldiers that they knew a place where they could stay. So maybe they were meaning the lodge. What if other people try to come up here because they think it's safer up here? What if they're sick? We don't want to get infected too. The soldiers seemed really frightened once they thought one of them was sick." I pause. "And what if the military come up here and find us? They might not believe that we've been here all this time away from other people. And maybe they'll think we're infected and maybe they'll do that to us," Matt finishes. "Yeah," I sigh. "Come on, we better get going and catch up with the others." We reach the lodge just before dark. Dean and Jackson drop their packs as soon as we arrive and start pulling out their tents. "Just leave the tents, guys," Emily calls out. "I think we'll all sleep in the lodge tonight. It's more important that we get some food into us. We've hardly eaten in the last 24 hours, and I don't want anyone collapsing from malnutrition on me."
"Fine by me," Dean shrugs and picks up his pack again.
Emily allocates jobs to get the fire started and dinner cooking as soon as we enter the lodge, and it isn't long before we're sitting at the table to eat. Although I should be starving, I have absolutely no appetite and just pick at my food, moving it absent-mindedly around the plate. Matt is sitting beside me, and he looks like he's having trouble too. I look across at Marley, and he gives me a nod. lifting his fork to his mouth as though showing me what to do. I slowly put a fork full of food in my mouth and raise an eyebrow at him as I do it, as if to say, "See, I did it." After we finish dinner, Emily calls everyone over to the seats by the fire and says she needs to discuss something with us. I know you're all wondering why our rides didn't pick us up, and to be honest, I don't know why they didn't either. I haven't been able to get in touch with any of the guides at base camp, and we weren't able to get any cell phone signal this afternoon. She takes a deep breath, looking from Marley to me, then her shoulders slump as she shakes her head. I don't even know how to begin to talk about this. Everyone has gone completely silent, wondering why Emily looks upset. Marley joins Emily in front of the fire and starts to talk, explaining what we'd witnessed, telling them about the people trying to escape and the soldiers shooting them and burning their dead bodies. I look around the group as he talks, watching everyone's reactions. Expressions range from complete disbelief to open-mouthed astonishment, and in some cases I can tell they are skeptical, just waiting for the "ha-ha, gotcha, you should see the look on your faces" punchline. But there's no punchline. This isn't some sick joke, although it is nauseating. Oh, come on, this is bullshit, right? Dean asks. Jess has a video, Matt replies, and every face turns to look at me. I took a video on my phone. You can watch it if you don't believe us. I hand my phone to Dean, and everyone crowds around him as it starts to play. They're as shocked as the rest of us. Priya's in tears by the end, and quite a few say they feel sick. Jackson runs outside, following through on his claim. Then everyone starts talking at once, voices jumbling together as they talk over each other. So there's some kind of plague or something? Do you think it's everywhere? What about our families? Do you think they're okay? Does that mean we can't leave here? If we leave, we'd risk being exposed, wouldn't we? Are we safe here? What if someone turns up here? What would we do? Is this why we couldn't get a rescue helicopter for Holly? Whoa, okay, everyone. Let's settle down and talk one at a time. Marley yells above the voices, raising his hands until the room quietens. Look, I know this is really confusing, and we're all worried about what this means. But everyone knows as much as each other. We have no more information or answers than the rest of you. So, we're going to have to work this out together. To come up with a plan together. Who wants to go first? Ollie puts his hand up. I think we need to find out more information about what's going on. How can we make a plan if we don't know what we're planning for? There's a murmur of agreement. I agree, says Kaylin. What if we've misunderstood what they were talking about? Maybe there isn't a plague, and we've got nothing to worry about. I can keep trying to contact base camp using the radio, and failing that, I can try using other channels on the Citizens Band to see if anyone else can give us some answers. Do you think that's why no one answered the other day when you were trying to find out about Holly? Lily asks. Are they all dead from the plague or something? Jesus, do you think that's why? Priya gasps. I honestly don't know, Emily answers. We couldn't get hold of anyone at Search and Rescue the day before either, and that is really odd because someone is always monitoring the channel there. You said you called for a helicopter that day, and that didn't turn up either, Lily says. We activated an emergency locator beacon when we couldn't get hold of Search and Rescue on the radio. Emily shakes her head. I don't know why it didn't work. Sky took it with them when they left, so it's possible they were met by Search and Rescue once they were on the road. Or maybe they'd turned it off by then, I don't know. It doesn't sound like they were met, though. Otherwise, those soldiers wouldn't have been up here, I say. They were trying to catch those people, weren't they? Kaylin asks. That's what I thought at first, too, I reply. But those people would have been walking for hours, all day even. That road is under the cover of the trees most of the time, so there's no way anyone would see them from above or below. So how did the soldiers even know they were there? Those people were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not following, Kaylin says. You heard what they said on the video. They were looking for the people who set off the beacon. Maybe search and rescue operations can't function normally at the moment and aren't able to rescue people. Maybe the military is doing the rescues now, I explain. So, you think they were coming to rescue us? Lily asks. They didn't look like they were on a rescue mission. They were dressed in hazmat suits, Emily replies. So, if they were coming because of the beacon, I don't think they were expecting to rescue anyone. They looked like they were expecting to deal with infected or dead people.
So that begs the question, do you think they thought they found the people they were looking for? Kaylin asks. Because they didn't come any further after they burned those bodies.
I don't think that's the reason they turned back, I reply. I think it was because the bodies were blocking the road and they didn't want to drive over them. I set the beacon off here at the lodge, Emily rubs her eyes. So this is the location that the satellite would have recorded as the initial activation point. Those people clearly didn't want to be rescued. The soldiers realized that. There's no way they'll think they were the people who set off the beacon.
So there's a chance they could come back here?
Jackson asks. We all nod, realizing he's right. There's definitely a chance of that.
Back to my earlier question then. Are we safe here? And what should we do if someone turns up?
I don't know how to answer that, Emily says. But I think the best thing is for us to stay put here for now. We have food and shelter here at the lodge. We're away from other people if there is some sort of plague spreading. In the meantime, we keep trying to get in contact with someone on the radio to get more information, and then we make a decision. Until then, we just stay here where we know we're safe.
Should someone keep watch tonight?
Jackson asks. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted everyone to sleep in the lodge, Emily replies. I don't think it's necessary to have anyone on guard duty, but if it makes you feel better, we can.
What would we do if someone came here anyway? Dean replies. Hit them over the head with a pot? It's not like we have any weapons or anything.
Rule number 1, never open the door to a stranger. They always turn into zombies. Rookie mistake. Ollie's face is completely deadpan. You don't think people are turning into zombies, do you? Priya gasps. Her question is met with laughter, but she isn't joking. I don't think we have to worry about that, Priya, I reply. Yet, Ollie nods. You know we're all thinking it. He looks from face to face, and I can't tell if he's joking. I think we should probably get some sleep, Emily says. I'll start trying to make contact on the radio in the morning. We slowly stand and begin to set up our beds for the night. I choose a spot on the floor near the fire as Jackson drags a bench seat from the table and pushes it up against the door, then lays his sleeping mat in front of it. He turns and sees us watching him.
Can't hurt to be cautious,